How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books, it's found on the battlefield. What's up, Warriors? Welcome back. Battlefield of the Mind. All right, I am here with an author that I'm actually getting more and more excited to listen to what she has to say. So I'm here with Josée Tremblay. You guys may not know who that is. You will. And so I'm excited for her to be able to share who she is, what she's doing, and the purpose of this conversation. I think this is going to be one where get your notebook ready. We're going to have a very cool back and forth on perspectives, learning, growing, and connecting in a way I think the world needs right now. Josée, go ahead.
Nice. Well, first, Rick, thanks so much for having me on your show. I wrote a book last year. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so lots of conversations you're having with your guests I'm super interested in. I like working in the shop. I like fixing things. That's kind of my motto. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and I've had more than 30 years of experience in that. So I led large teams locally and internationally, but most of the time I was surrounded with men. I had, at one point I was leading 250 people, mainly engineers and technologists, for international assessment of engineering assets. And I think I had about 10 women out of 250 on my team. So I'm used to being around guys. That was kind of my ecosystem from the get-go. I was 5 out of 55 in my grad class, 5 women out of 55. So I'm used to be with the guys. I love a lot of things that the guys love. I love fly fishing. I love fixing cars. I like doing all these things that are quite masculine. And what I came to realize when I was in my probably late 30s, I came to realize that it wasn't serving me in my personal relationship. That I had, I was the go-getter. I could do anything for myself. I was financially independent. I could fix my own HVAC. I was so resilient that it actually was not serving me as a woman in a relationship.
Well,
So then I
just so
started.
I want to make sure I
Yeah.
get like clarity because I really want to know what you mean. Because right now the girl's like, "What do you mean not serving?" Like, no, what do you mean it wasn't serving you? What like is
It
like
wasn't.
the guys and the girls are like, "What does she mean?" Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean it wasn't serving you? How?
It wasn't serving me because I didn't realize that to have polarity in a personal, I'm talking about my personal life, relationship wise, to have a polarity that you nurture and you evolve over time requires you to be in my book, I call it an archetype. You need to be in your female archetype when you're with your spouse. And you can imagine that a person who was used to doing it all, the people in my life probably came in and said, and the guys in my life came in and said, there's nothing I can do to help. Auto sufficient. And all of a sudden it was, I need to show the vulnerability, the femininity, because I'm a woman and I like, it's not like I fix things, but then I'm also in a body of a woman. So I need to be a woman and especially around my, romantic partner and spouse. So I started evolving that together with my second husband. I had a failed marriage, probably because of some of that and maybe other things, but I don't want to get into that today. What I want to talk about was mainly how I actually came out of it, because I think that's an important conversation to have for the men in your audience. It's like when we are coming in as a woman in a relationship, you still have these women archetype things that are kind of hanging over your head, and these things will not go away. And similarly for you as a man, like you're going to have overarching things that are going to be over your head as a man, like you coming in to the equation with your male archetype traits, and there's a lot of conversation in the last couple of decades where people are trying to put everything to neutral. And I'm like, we can't put everything to neutral. You have to be in your male archetype. If you show up in the world as a male, like it's important that you understand how positive male archetypes are being embodied and authentically embodied. And then I need to figure out, because I just happen to be a woman, that I need to embody a women archetype positively, authentically. How can I do that, in a positive way? And it's not the same for everyone. My way of expressing my femininity is going to be quite different than maybe the next gal, but it doesn't matter. What matters is what is true to me and what is authentic to me. So I started going down on that path when I was in my late 30s. I wish I knew that in my 20s. Like as a woman in mech, like I wish I knew that in my 20s. I wish I had doubled down on my women archetype when I was in my 20s. And so I wrote the book not for women. I wrote the book for men and women. I wrote it so people would come together, and with the superpower of the men combined with the superpower of the women, that's a winning combo. Like, because we come at it naturally from different angles. And how do we actually maximize these two superpowers is by really embodying the best we can in our own way. So I don't know if that resonates or if it
Oh
makes
no,
sense,
no,
but
you're in my wheelhouse. So this is fantastic, and so I have questions because I have the men's organization. I have a women's organization, but I don't spend a lot of time there because that's not where my passion is. I have to take care of my men for this exact thing you're talking about. And let me just tell you, there's a thing that I have a theory on, this polarity thing. I think it's all wrong. And I'll break down why. And I think that you're saying the same thing that I'm saying, just in a different way. And so I think that when you see somebody talk about, I'm in my masculine, or she's in her masculine, or I'm in my feminine, I am with you. I don't think that there's a disorder until you try to jump sides. And when you stop being authentic to who you are and try to act like
Mhm.
someone else. And I use that very deliberately. I'm acting, I'm being a character now, I'm pretending. And it's very disingenuous. You can tell when somebody is being an actor. And so you can see when a male is acting very like, I'm not okay. And then you see a woman was like, I'm tougher than I am. And you're like, I think both of you hope you don't get challenged directly because you're going to buckle here. You're acting. And
Mhm.
I'm with you. I'm actually going to say it differently on this doing and being element of the superpower of men and women, because I did a class on this even this week. Going through this list of people who talk about polarity with masculine traits, feminine traits, and I said, well, let's look at some of these traits. And I looked at some of the masculine traits would be like confident, direct, like strong, has direction. And I'm like, can women do that? Can a woman be confident? So, yeah, a woman can be confident. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
can a woman be direct? Like, yeah. One of them is like logical. It's like, can a woman be logical? Some people would probably argue, but I'm just saying, yeah, I've had very logical conversations. They do have a brain. You can have a logical conversation. So I'm going down these traits and I'm like, I don't think that's a masculine trait. I think if we're going to talk polarity, it's from unhealthy female to healthy female, unhealthy male to healthy male. And the
Hmm.
polarity is within itself. And the only time you start getting sick is when you try and jump out of your own thing and trying to act like something else. I don't think you're acting in your masculine. I think you were doing things you genuinely enjoy. It's just
Hmm.
being labeled or judged as masculine. But is it a healthy behavior authentically, or is it not? Is it to
Hmm.
try to impress others or have control or manipulate or lie to get what you want? Or are you genuinely, sincerely being you and having fun with people who you connect with? That's healthy, unhealthy, not masculine, feminine. And so
Hmm.
I think that we're saying the same thing here because I don't believe the polarity exists. I think it's a
Oh.
show. I think it's, are you healthy or unhealthy as you, not am I being something else, because that's just acting. And once you
Yeah.
start pretending to be something disingenuous, you're going to find a cognitive dissonance, imposter syndrome, and the people who have identity disorders have a 50% suicide rate. And this is where I start seeing there's problems. This is where I go into
Absolutely.
my field. I'm like, where are the biggest disorders that people have? When they don't believe what they are is right, when who I am is not me. And this doesn't go into like, pronouns and stuff. This goes into identity yourself. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to even jump polarity to not be okay with who you are. Shame
Mm-hmm.
exists, and these things exist. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that I'm
I
very interested to hear the female superpower, the male superpower, like from your point of view, because I don't think we have to jump sides to be healthy.
No, exactly. And I think you're right. It's a generalization, and each pieces of it needs to be taken, and in its specificity relative to you. Like, you can be in your feminine side and be quite logical, no problem. You can be in your masculine side and be quite emotional, no problem. It's that where I see the polarity, and maybe it's something that we can explore together. It's super interesting. Where I see the polarity is when you think about all the histories that we've seen, and I'm not a big bias proponent, i.e., I often see that people will actually just fall into a belief because they've seen it in the past. However, uh, there's a lot in the historical representation of femininity and representation of masculinity, which I have in my chapter 2 there, by the way. So I have the yin and yang for that yin and yang. That's like very old knowledge, and you read it and you could say, well, I'm flexible and I'm a man, and this is on in the feminine archetype yin kind of segment. But when you look at the whole, it does represent a bit the contribution of women in the ecosystem. And when I look at the white part, which is like the yang, I read and I think, yeah, like I can see lots of masculine, uh, authentic masculine energy around these things, but every single one can be a little bit more of the other. But what you have to look at it as a whole. So I think we're whole. We're an entirety of things, and I wrote this book, and the subtitle of it is "Together We Rise Beyond Traditional Roles." And look at that. Like, it's exactly that. It's like when you find yourself in a place where you're not you're not the majority. Like, you're 1 in 10, you're 1 in 12, which was my situation. What you were talking about, the dissonance you were talking about, was something that I really, without knowing subconsciously, was doing. In my 20s, I was trying to be the emulating the male leaders I had in my life. That's exactly what I was trying to do.
Sure, because this is something I'm already seeing that you do, is that you drop like six bombs in a row, and then I'm like, which bomb do we go back and get? I'm like, so I'm already catching a pattern with you. Um, First, the yin and yang thing, like, you're right. There are the behaviors there, and this is where I say, like, well, are you actually being an authentic version of that? You're right, because like my wife she's a beast. She's awesome. Like, she's amazing, and she outworks me, and I'm a workhorse. Like, so she has it in her, but she also does things in a very genuine, kind, loving way. And I think you saying I was emulating males in a certain way when I was doing a training it was with J.R. Harvey, because he owns King's Community. It's all the nice guys, and I trained Michael more from the bad boy field. And so like we would come and go, how do we make bad boys and nice guys good men? We got to meet in the middle here, because nice guys are not good men. They're not good. And so don't think the word nice is a deception. It's supposed to be. And so these are not good guys and not good men. And so I was looking at these different things for like these polarities and how it goes. And I said, listen, there's a pattern here that I'm seeing that we have to pull together for like, that's what not done in the way that's authentic. You emulating the boys. What I notice is these boss babes and these bad bitches, or whatever the codes that are being used these days are, they were emulating bad boy behavior. They were emulating, like, I don't care, I'm gonna get what I want, I'm gonna get mine. And they were being mean and aggressive. And you see them in movies where you see the women who are the bosses emulate the bad boy lists, not good man lists, bad boys. And they were emulating selfish children, the male selfish child version of it. And I was like,
Mm.
interesting that these boss babes are acting like little boys.
Mm. For me, I was really trying hard to emulate the good boys, the good guys
The good
in the
men. You're
room.
trying to be the good
Like
men.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Please,
Whatever you want to,
please.
the good men in the room. Like
I would
I had
love to hear
awesome
that.
bosses. I had awesome bosses. Like one of them, I still to this day I think was my favorite of all time. He was so kind, genuine, and all that, and it was a good role model for me. But I needed to find it in a way that it was going to be successful as a women leader in a male environment. And trying to be the way he wasn't going to serve me that well. I needed to be in my own self, find it my own way. And that was important. And I learned that, competency and warmth were the two traits that were preferred for women in leadership. And after knowing that, it's not like I wasn't warm and it's not like I wasn't competent, but I wasn't seeing these two traits as the key traits I needed to think through and say, hey, how do I show up as competent and how do I show up as warm in this conversation? And you do you, I do me. So I'm doing me, and I need to show up as warm and competent if I can. Not show up like uh, putting a facade, but actually demonstrating that what I'm bringing to the table is something that is warm and competent. Right? So whatever that is. So and not like faking it but truly doing it. So that was kind of my thinking, that came from some research. And then that same research said, leadership for men, that two traits that we like, this is women and men combined in the society, we like our men leaders to be assertive and to be competitive. And and this is like research. So I'm like, so assertiveness and competitiveness, there's good assertiveness and there's bad assertiveness. So you need to find a way to make it a good assertiveness. But I'm going to give you an example of good assertiveness. Like, hey, um, let's or competitiveness is probably the easiest. Let's say let's say a man who is a leader would come in and say, hey, let's win this together. It will resonate really positively with most people. And that this is a generalization. It will resonate positively with most people because that is something that we see positively in a man. But if I come in and I say, hey, I want to win this, let's win together, as a woman, it might win. It might work for you, but you might end up having a little bit of a receptivity dissonance in the audience. You might be perceived as, oh, she's really aggressive. She's really, and you get all these words that are coming out when you start being, assertive and competitive as a woman. So this is kind of what I came to realize is, when you're in a minority situation, you need to be aware that you are, and you need to be able to find it in yourself that you're going to adopt and double down on your qualities that will be serving you the best. And they're not going to be the same as the majority around you. Because you're a minority, so you're a
I,
minority for some reason.
I don't think it's because of a minority thing. I think that you
No.
were on it. That seems correct because as a male to male, I'm the leader of a large male organization. The number one thing that I have guys come in to do, and this is also when people are like, hey, well, the Warriors Way is a cult. I'm like, this is how you can tell if it is or isn't. The first thing I have people do is come in and challenge the leader directly.
Mm-hmm.
You have to challenge the leader for competency. If I am not competent, do not do anything with this group. If you can't challenge the leader, you're in a cult. You're not able to say, hey, I have a question or I don't agree. You have to. And so in my organization, they have to test, am I formidable as a human to be able to say, I can team up with you? If I had to have you watch my back, could you? And so I think you were leaning into the competency element of a woman when a woman comes in and go, okay, guys, let's do it. You got to remember how male hierarchy works, just like in sports, for example. Why is that guy the team captain? Well, because he's the best on the team and he's really good. You can't have the guy who's like, I'm not good at this, be the captain, because you're like, you can't hold your own, man. And so if a woman can show competency, then it's not a minority issue. It's a skill issue because boys don't go, you're a girl, you can't. If you're like, give me the damn wrench, I'll show you how to. And you're like, shh, and you do it like, okay, she's awesome. I'm with, all right, she can do it. I'm with her. If you have competency, I don't think minority matters if you're good. But when
Mm-hmm.
people think that they don't have to be tested and can't be challenged, but still should have authority, you're going to get that dissonance you're talking about. And so I think this warm competency sounds wise. Like, but to say because I'm a minority, they won't listen. I'm like, show them you're good. I bet you they got your back.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I didn't say. Sorry. Let's be clear. I did not say that if I didn't. Your comment here about me, the showing up and saying if I'm not, I need to have the authority. That's not what I meant at all. What I meant was where when we come in for women, it could backfire on you if you exhibit the same type of leadership traits as men, because you will not be received the same way. So being competitive and being assertive often doesn't serve women well. On the other hand, though, it serves men very well. And it's okay. I'm not saying like one is good, one is bad. I'm just saying it's just the way we seem to be wired as human. Like we just don't receive, we don't uh, respond really well to women that are assertive and that are competitive, like
What
overtly.
You're right. You didn't say that. You are correct. I didn't, and I definitely didn't say you did say. I'm just telling you my generalization. But why do you think that that is? I just want your actual just opinion. Like, why do you think it's like that for men and women? Where if a woman tries to do the same thing a guy does, a guy's like, I ain't listening to this. But if he's like, let's go, and they're like, yeah,
Yeah,
like why? Why do you believe? What's your opinion? Like, because we're looking at different points of view. I want to hear yours.
absolutely. It is a point of view, but I do think that we, in general, are just conditioned to be more receptive to the male archetype coming in as more like the savior, and then we're more open, and traditionally that's how women have been perceived, and is the bridge together, like the glue that keeps the families together, and the warmth, and the so we are more used to that. And I guess it's the history, but also it might be something that is more beyond history. It might be biological, it might be like
I
in
think it
our
is.
old brain, it could be everywhere.
I think that the amount of conditioning is maybe a smaller element because I've been studying the heck out of how this behavior works, especially for like the weak males. Like they can't play the same cards that a woman can get away with no problem. A guy cannot get away with at all. So, and I look at this and I said, this doesn't look societal. This looks biological. Like this
Hmm.
looks ingrained in our subconscious that there's something that like there's certain behaviors that give you an ick. Like, I don't like that behavior. That
Yeah.
feels gross. But, and I've done examples with my wife, with the guys, where I'm like, watch me do this, like, ooh, take care of me. And I started, and all my dudes are like, dude, no, no. Like, all my guys will freak out. The girls will be like, this is me. I don't feel good. Like, there's something to certain behavior, but I showed my girl, I'm like, baby, she's like, can you hold me? I feel, I'm like, come here. And everyone's like, that's so
Hmm.
wholesome. That's so wholesome. That's beautiful.
Yes.
So you're very right, but I don't know if that's a conditioning thing as much as there's a wiring inside of us that's like,
Absolutely.
I don't like that. So this goes
Hmm.
both ways. I want to come back to this aggression that a woman shows. Like, why are guys like, I can't listen to this? Because physically, I don't think you come off as formidable enough to know that you could really watch my back. And so if you're going to be aggressive, it usually would show a physical competency that matters. I have the
Mm-hmm.
same thing because I'm physically very competent. But when I
Mm-hmm.
have a guy who's skin and bones talking to me about strength, I'll be like, did you skip strength day, bud? Like, I can't follow you because you're not exhibiting the word you're using. And this makes it so I can see there's a visual posture and competency to just presence that makes it so
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing aggression, I'm like, is this something that you could back up? Like, if I was fighting next to you, would I just anticipate you're the one that's going to go down and now I got to fill this spot? Or do I know you could hold the same side? Like, we got to take this 400-pound couch up 3 flights. You got the other side? You're like, oh no. Like, I got to know that you can actually back it up. I think there's more of a biological element to like,
Mm-hmm.
I've assessed your competency by seeing you. And if you're going to use aggression, you better be able to back it up. But I think that you are
Exactly.
not wrong at all with saying the warmth of a woman would have a man move a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're
Yeah.
very
So
right there.
so I think once you realize that, then you want to kind of think about how do I double down on these traits that are being seemingly well responded to in the society, and that's what I did. But you're touching on. Can we switch subject because this was like just a little teaser. I'm really liking this conversation.
No, no. I mean, you take it where you need to. I think that you're onto something right now, though, where there are screaming matches over this type of behavior or conversation that people want to control others over. And I think that you and I are finding very similarly, like, well, that doesn't work. This thing is working better. I really do think I kind of do want to stay on this warm competency. I think you're on a very, this is a brilliant thing that I don't want to ice over as though this is a small thing. I think that there's a thing with my woman, my baby. She's awesome. And she was conditioned to be work, work, work. She's a type 3 Enneagram. She's the achiever type. She's going to be like suppress her heart to be able to win. She'll do all of those things. And it took her a lot of work to really find her authenticity because she pushed that down to succeed. That's very, very unhealthy for a heart side or emotion person to turn off your humanity to win, because even when you win, you can't accept the love and accolades that you just worked hard to get because you turned your heart off.
Hmm.
There's a thing where I think the idea of, like you said, traditional or modern woman, and I kind of want to have your opinion on this because I have 5 girls in my house. And so we have to be very tactical in the way that we train the strength of our girls. And
Hmm.
so modern woman, I think, needs to be addressed where you can't play boy cards any more than boys can't play girl cards and actually have it be a successful thing. But if you play your cards correctly and authentically, what a power team we become.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what the book is about. You just summarized it in one sentence. Is like that's why it's called Us. It's called Us because it's not just women, it's not just men. It has to be something like a societal project that we get into together because we're going to be, two ships passing in the night, not talking to each other. And I have a chapter dedicated to communication across gender lines exactly for that. Is like, I need to have your back in the way I can have your back. And I swear I won't be able to hold on to that sofa that you're bringing up the stairwell. So, but I'm going to have your back, no less. And in different ways, in my own way. I have skills that I bring to the table. I can problem solve. I can, use different tools in different ways, innovative ways. So, uh, anyway, I have I have to tell this joke to kind of put it in context. So I went to Moab. I mountain biking. This was years ago. I was in my 20s. So go to Moab mountain biking, Porcupine Rim. We're at the very end of it, and a guy on our group break the spoke on the wheel, and he didn't like he couldn't keep going. So we actually took all of our tools, put it on the ground, and started troubleshooting as to how we could solve it. And I ended up taking one part from here, one part from there, tied it together, and the guy was able to bike out. And then we got into the bike shop, and I was in the front room, kind of shopping around. And the guy in the back room says, "Whoa, like, who did this?" And then my friend said, "The gal in the front shopping." So really, at the end of the day, I think you bring your own skills and you bring your own strengths, and it I can't compete with you physically. I'm never going to be able to do that. And there's areas, and I can't think of any right now, but there's areas where you're not going to be able to compete with me. As a woman, I come in with different skills and different things, and so, but we need to appreciate each other. We need to appreciate what we bring, and it starts with that. And I appreciate you as a man coming in to my life, because you talk about your girls. What you want them to learn is that they can be vulnerable in their personal relationship. And that if there's one sentence that you might want to keep in mind as they, navigate life, is realize that as resilient and autonomous and independent, it's very important to build all of these things. But with your father, with your, best friends, with your spouse, just be vulnerable. I need protection, and I need safety, and I need security. And that security is not just physical. And people kind of jump quickly to, okay, I'm going to protect you on the street from, bad people. That's not what I'm talking about. It's security. It's financial security. And it doesn't mean that you need to have a bigger salary than me. It just means that you are showing that you're accountable for, the financial health of our unit, and that you care about that. That's one, and you're going to be finding good advice, and you're going to be, so that's a way of showing up as providing that security, financial security, and we need that. We also need emotional security. Like, am I trusting your words? Like, am I able to trust that you're telling me the truth? Like, if you're coming in as someone in my life, and I can't trust that you're going to be telling me the truth, then I don't feel safe. So there's so many ways that a woman can feel unsafe, and it's probably part of the DNA that we were given. And it's a reality, and it's a reality for any women. So if you're talking to your girls, just say, you need to find, the people in your life that will actually have your back, and that you can trust, and that you can authentically lean on, for that security component that you'll need. And then it starts, because security, is at the bottom of that need. So once you're secure in a relationship, then you can build from there. Like, it's the foundational block, in my view, to feel that you're safe in that relationship. And I think and I'm gonna project myself onto to you as a man, but what I think is received well when I show up with my spouse is when I show up as understanding, open, and receptive. Like, as a woman, like, if I'm with him, like, if he feels like I'm listening, and not just like feels, but if he knows that I'm listening, I'll correct myself here. If he knows I'm listening, and I'm receptive, and I'm nurturing, it's really well received, from as a partner, and I show up, and then I'm well received. So then the beauty starts building up, because I feel safe, and he feels like I have his back, because I hear him. I'm open, I'm flexible, I'm like adaptable, I'm coming and nurturing, what his needs are. So that's a very nice compliment. So as your girls, like, if you show them, you say, hey, you can be your authentic self showing up, find the person in your life that can do that for you and compliment you so well that together you're like a superpower team. you know.
I honor you on this one. And like what we teach, because I have to teach my males what you're talking about. Like, and it's not just finances or heart either. There's mind, spirit, and body all have to be encompassed. And
Mm-hmm.
so most boys, because they didn't have a healthy male teacher or father or mentor, they didn't have one, don't understand. And so today's society is going to go into doing and just go, Jose, I got the money. What's your problem? You buy something. You said you wanted financial security. You can buy whatever you want. And they're like, but I don't feel all of the safety. It's like, well, we got security cameras. The door's locked. What's the problem? You know, and you see they're doing all of the physical or the financial, but they're not understanding the mental, the spiritual, the emotional safety. And that's very important as like leader to create structure so that way you can do this. And so you're not wrong at all. And it is, I do believe it's a biological setup because men
Mm-hmm.
love to give, but they don't know how to gain the abundance to be good. They don't know how to. They stay in a boy take mode and they don't know how to be a good giver. And so men have to become men of abundance and substance in order to be able to provide. This doesn't mean, again, make more money, but be able to contribute and be able to like show, I got you, you got me. I do want to point out something that you said, and I'm going to say it Rick way so that way people can hear both versions of the same thing. Is here you're talking about the elements of being emotional safe for a woman. And this means I'm not going to be reactive because you're having a tough day, and I can be disagreeable but empathetic at the same time. Again, I'm always in my masculine.
Mm-hmm.
I can go, dang girl, I can feel you're in it. You're in it. I
Mm-hmm.
can feel you. I don't have to be in my feminine to feel my heart to your heart. I don't have to do that. And I can go, I can see you're going through it. And I'm not going to join you in losing my mind right now because that makes both of us unsafe. And then you're going to go into self-preservation and I'm going to need someone to take care of me. That's not good for us. That won't work. So I tell this with my baby. I'm like, baby, I hear you. I see you. I feel you, but I'm not joining you. But I will make sure whatever you need, you got it. What do you need, babe?
Mm-hmm.
And that's her being mentally, spiritually. Well, I'll pray over my girl. We'll meditate together and then I'll turn, I'll pray. I'll be, God, take care of my baby. Take her stress, take her fears, take her things. Work through both of us to be able to do glory in your name. Like we're a power team. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
God, I feel so safe that you got me and we're
Mm-hmm.
taken care of. That's a spiritual connection. And these things are powerful. And people think it's just
Mm-hmm.
like if a robber comes in. Here's what's real funny. She has my girl's scared of mice. Scared of them. Terrified of mice.
Don't like
Now,
spiders myself, so.
yeah, so these are intruders. These are intruders. And so we
Yeah.
got mice one year and the mice were in the house and they got in one of the cabinets and she knew they were in the cabinets. I will kick a mouse's ass. I am not scared of mice at all. So I'm digging all the stuff out of here. And she's like on top of the counter. She's on the counter. She's like, how are you doing this? Like, they were in there. And I'm like, babe, this thing is not going to get me. I'm like, I got this thing. And she's like, you're the bravest man on earth. I've never seen anybody. I'm martial arts trained. If a dude walks in this house, he's going to have a hard time. But she is more impressed by me stopping a mouse than if there was a robber. Like there's one of those things. This happens more than the beat up somebody scenario. It's not that common. And so to show the body side strength, the mind side strength, the heart side strength, the spirit side strength, the financial element of contribution or fulfilling your potential as a male, these all make it so my girl's safe. She's safe.
Yes.
Now, this is an important thing I want you to be able to give to your ladies too. When a woman says I need space, it's not the same as how a guy says it. If I
Mm-hmm.
said, Jose, I need some space, that means I can go out into the woods and I can just go and be in danger and sort out my stuff. I'm like, I don't need you to do nothing. I don't need anybody near me. I don't expect anybody to do anything. Just leave me the hell alone. That's when a man needs space. It's like, leave me alone. When a woman needs space, she may use the same sentence, but it is not the same thing. What I notice for my ladies is I have the walls built for you. And inside these walls, nothing will hurt you and nothing will get you. So now you can work on your thing that you needed space for. This is your space. You're good here. Anything, I've got everything taken care of. The kids are fed. This is good. The door's locked. The dogs are on the watch. We got you. Work through your stuff. There's your space. But guys will think a woman said it the same. Well, then go outside in the woods then. And she's like, well, now I'm in extra danger and I'm not working on any of my stuff. These are the kinds of things that safety security for males, not our equation, but for women it is. And this is, I think that you're very spot on with this. But I also wanted to point out something that you did that was brilliant and probably overlooked by what people would say. You said things that seem like it should be a given. You said there's some things that should be a given, like when I listen to him, when I'm engaging with him, when I'm curious about his conversation, when I'm going back and forth with him. Now he feels good. He feels good. It's like, well, hold on, ladies. Do not underestimate the power of the non-measurables.
Mm-hmm.
Do not when women come with strengths, when women come with power, it's not the ROI on this one. You're not going to have like, well, how many measured things did she do? It's going to be the things you cannot measure: the connection, the compassion, the curiosity, the interests, the excitement, the encouragement, the love, the empathy, the stuff that you can go like, how do you measure these things? But I'll tell you,
100%.
you'll fill a dude's engine. You'll fill a guy up. He'll be so, he's like, that's my girl listens, man. And the guy's like, how do you get her to listen? I'm like, well, she's a capable, accountable, curious, wonderful mind adult. And so she'll be compassionate and interested. Even if it's not her thing, she'll wonder why it's my thing. Just like her thing isn't my thing, but I wonder, why do you love it so much? Because I love you. And so I want to hear why. And I think that it's a good example of you're actually being safe for your guy by even just being engaged and filling his cup with non-measurables. And this is something that most women are trying to lean into, this production element of things, and they're not doing a connection element of things that makes it so that that team is powerful. So I think that we're saying the same things. I just want to praise you in a way that, like, I don't know people would catch that you did a connection element and not a correction element and not a control element, but a being element of a woman makes it so that this team will move a mountain. They'll change the way the waves run. Like, these guys are powerful together, but not because you're assertive and controlling, but because you're connected and you're able to be compassionate and curious. And that makes it so, man, I love sharing with my girl. I love it, because she listens and I listen to her. And I think that what you're saying right now, the world is really goofing this up because they're going into control over connect. And so just praise to you on that one. Way to find it, because that seems the way.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to neutral too much. People are kind of starting to be distorted. And we talked about that a bit earlier. I was probably more distorted because of the circumstance I was in than most. And I've been kind of unraveling that. You talk a lot with your audience about rebuilding yourself and how do you actually, the past is not what builds you forward. It's actually your own accountability to decide how you're going to be tackling the future. And for me, it was very much like that. It was like, okay, my past is not going to define how my next relationship is. It's going to be different, and I choose it to be different. And I'm going to do everything in my power to, I guess, engineer it. And when I say engineering, it's more the design thinking. Is like, okay, what's missing? It's similar to what you were saying with your daughter when you said, what do you need? Like, the whole spectrum of things that she needed, not just, so you're doing design thinking there, where you're looking at the subject, you're trying to actually look at the needs and then kind of come in to support that need. So I did that, tried to rebuild myself, and I still continue to this day, continue to build every day. And I love that you're meditating, because I tried to integrate that as well into my equation, is like try to help clear up some of the maybe negative beliefs often that will kind of throw themselves in. Try to reassure myself that the past is not the same as the future, that even if it happened in the past, I have the authority, and I call it I'm the author of my life. I have the authority to make it different. And I want to share something like personal there, as I was listening to Chris Miller, that you interviewed, and he was talking about reinventing the blueprint. I think that was the word that he used. And I thought about my grandfather. And my grandfather has passed now, but he came from nothing. Like, he had no money. I think he was kicked out of his house probably when he was 15 or something, and had to go work the railway. And he was quite poor. So I guess his parents didn't have enough money to keep him home, and they sent him on his way at 15. And then he consciously rebuilt his life. And he did it in a not ostentatious way, like a way that was show off. He did it in a way that was very humble and very behind the scene. And it's the effect of his work that I'm actually living through. I'm going to tear up here. It's the effect of his work that is making me who I am today. And he could have easily decided that, hey, he had it, he was hard done by, and he uh, you know decided to waste it away. He had a salary, he could have gone out and drunk it. I don't know, like, he could have done a whole bunch of irresponsible things with it. But what he did was, like, he started saving. He met my grandmother a bit later, and I think they became a power team together. They raised 6 children, and not all of them, kind of went through life, and some of them had pretty significant challenges and all that. But some of them did go through and kind of got out, of poverty, and we all did get out of poverty because of him. And it was because of his conscious choice. Like, he was able to save enough money to build a cabin, and we all went, and it was the place where the whole family gathered. We had like corn bash and these kind of things, and we swam, and it was more like a slough than a lake where he had the cabin. But whoa, how much fun we had there, and still to this day, like, my best memories are hanging out at that cabin. And all of his life, he was like a pillar for the whole family. So we could phone him. Like, when I was a teenager, I could phone him at 2 in the morning if I needed a ride somewhere, and he would drive me home. Like, I knew he was there for me. And this is the kind of guys that you want to have in your life. And so anyway, I didn't know I was gonna. That's the first time I tear up.
No, you're good. No, be human. You're honoring your grandfather. No, so no, it's important to have that connection, that you're honoring your grandfather. It's a powerful thing.
Yeah. So anyway, to this day, I super appreciate my grandfather and my grandmother. She was, at home, but supported him, like, with every day. He would have a lunch to go to work, and things like that. So she was really like a lean-in, but she was a character on its own, on her own. She had a very gregarious personality. My grandfather was more like in the background, quiet, peaceful, solid guy. And but both of them were like a powerhouse, and that made a difference, because I was able to go to university. I was one of the first few in my family to go to university, and I ended up, pursuing an international career, and ended up being quite successful in my own right. And I attribute that to having had a grandfather that really kind of reinvented his blueprint, really. So anyway.
There's there's a first off, I honor your grandfather too. And this is something where I think that you're teaching a lesson through your compassion, that I really have this thing that I do where I need to say what you're doing out loud, because I don't think people will catch that your story is a lesson, not just a story. And this is something that's important to go through, is because your grandfather was able to come from hardship and develop from loss and pain and just very difficult terrain and all the things that would make it so it's impossible. You can't do it. You can't do it. And through consistency and focus and determination and loyalty, he became strong, stoic, and solid. And he became a foundation, like the strength of the foundation for your generations to be able to build upon. And so I'm sure your grandmother was like, she was the more outgoing one. And so I'm sure she was probably more motivating and excited and cheering you on and encouraging, while he was the foundation, she was the motivation. And now you have a solid foundation for your family to be able to flourish. But most people are trying to plant their seeds on concrete and thinking that that's solid. It's like, that's not fertile soil. And they created a strong foundation for you guys to grow from. I honor men like your grandfather because this is warrior blood. And for you to be able to have that, that's my foundation. It's strength, it's honor, it's do the right thing. Even though you have every opportunity to justify doing the wrong thing, you still choose goodness. You choose to do for others with a smile and not have to say blame, shame, and judge, or how hard it is for you to be able to love and take care of somebody at 2 a.m. Not going to go, oh, you interrupted my beauty sleep. You go, it's my honor to serve, and I love you so much that this is the best part of my night.
Mm-hmm.
These are the men that we need today. And this is the men that I trained to do all this. I'm like, this is the man that I am. This is what I do I've done all of these things for my girls. 2 a.m. She's like, I'm worried. I'm like, I'm not. See you soon. Like, we make sure we take care of our people because, again, your grandfather was building the foundation for the badass that you've become. And that's awesome. That's why we need this. And this is amazing because I guarantee you, where he's at right now, he's proud of you. He's like, that's my girl, right? I feel that because I get that same thing too. I'm like, I can feel your grandfather right now. I'm like, that's awesome. I think this is the stuff the world's needing the most right now. And I think the way that you're representing yourself with such strength from this authentic point of view, and from a man who's such authentic strength from his point of view, not being in his feminine and not you being in your masculine, but being authentically you, really being healthy as who I am and not who I pretend to be. I don't think it's about being neutral. I think it's about being balanced and honest and connected. I really do honor you for this. And this is good. I think these are the conversations the world's missing right now. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart and spirit with us.
It's my pleasure. I've been very happy to be invited to join you.
Strong things. I don't think a lot of people see these though. They'll just hear like, yeah, grandfather was a good dude. I'm like, I don't think you understand. This guy changed the world. He changed your family's stars. You don't understand. He broke the curses. You don't understand. And so people will not understand. And this is why I try to make a little more noise about, I don't think you get what that guy did. He changed the stars of your bloodline. That's badass. That's warrior stuff. I like it. This is cool. And I appreciate you that. That's very, very good. And like I said, let's make some more noise about this. I also want to point out something that you did too. And I'm going to go back to something a little less heavy for a second. I want to
Okay.
kind of point out something that you said with your engineer thinking. Those are your strengths, and the past is my teacher, and I get to choose. I don't want to bypass the accountability that you put on the table. I think today's women, especially, will struggle more with the accountability that you're speaking of because they have the luxury and the ability to blame and shame and judge that it's all other people's faults. They're not doing something right. And I don't hear you speaking like that. Like, you're not doing any of this blame, shame, and judge. Well, they should have done that. And how come they're not doing theirs? And what about them? And that's a luxury, because if it's all on you, you don't get that luxury. But I don't also want you to think that you having an engineer thinking is somehow like, yeah, I'm not being in my feminine. I'm like, no, this is just your brain is wired strong in that direction and you're very good at it. this does not have to be a masculine thing. It's just you are very good at creativity. You can abstract think, you can break outside the box, and you can build something that needs to be done because you got a good mind for it. That's not masculine. That's very useful and highly competent. What are we talking about? So I want to praise your accountability of leaning in on your strongest element of if there's a problem, I will approach it from an engineering mindset because that's how I'm wired. But that's not a male thing. It's just a smart thing.
Mhm.
And so
Absolutely, and it's more the way I see that is I'm contributing to the society in the best of my ability, and I'm trying to build things, and I'm trying to influence the future of my kids and your kids, and this the whole society. So if I were to do something else, then my passion and my interest and the way I'm wired, then I it would be a shame for the society not to have me, in that role of providing, solution to complex problems. So I see this as my duty as a person in the society to come in and provide that to the rest of the society. So that's how I see the world is you need to kind of find your passion. You need to find your skills, like, because sometimes you'll be more natural at it. I'm not going to be, the best baseball player in the world. I just don't have that skill. I don't have that physical ability to be that. But then I have other skills. And then, so find that, find what you're best at and what you love, because these two combo, like what you can do and what you love to do, these two things together are really driving, because it's your own compass. Your internal heart is almost like a compass. So that's why I really truly believe in following passion. Passion creates emotion, like a positive emotion, positive response in your body. And then the more you feel that, the more you're on the right path. So keep going if you feel that drive or that push towards something.
I want to make sure that I think you're saying it right, but I already know I work with people enough to know they are already misinterpreting what you're saying. So
Okay.
there's an element of what you're saying where like especially for the female side, because there's a lot of pushback on my women's group with this type of like you're saying, hey, follow your dream, follow your goal, go for it, don't give in and quit, like keep doing something you're passionate about. And very few women that I've interviewed, remember, I'm in the deep end of the pool though. So remember, I'm in the deep end. So very few women have any idea why they're doing what they're doing, what they want to do, or have any idea why it shouldn't be just taken care of for them. And so there's a lot of stuff where it comes to like, how am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to know what I want? Why am I supposed to, how come they're not doing this? And there's so much lack of the accountability of like authenticity that I'd kind of like you to be very clear on like this conversation of doing and how women are actually human beings and the balance of do and be instead of just do, which is just do all over the place. I'm talking about we got to do and be so that you're not a human doing. You're a human being. Can you be clear? Because I think that you figured it out, but I think most of today would just go, so stop being like me and be like that and do things and do things and do things. Can you
No.
please give the real example for that?
I, I'm passionate about not doing something for sure sometimes. If that's, I think you're right. It's we're human beings. We're not human doing, and it's even harder, I find, with the electronics that we have in our days. And while one would think that scanning through the internet or YouTube is doing, it influences and take away part of your being. I think the focus comes from within, and everything in balance is all right. Like, and that's all things in balance. Like, you need escapism as well, and that's one component. It's a whole life architecture. It's not just one thing. It's all the elements. But where I was going with my heart was the passion is when you're in a situation or when you're making a choice that in your heart doesn't feel quite right, it's time to pause and reflect inward, and kind of say, okay, why isn't it right? And similarly, and I don't like focusing on what's not right. I like focusing on what's right. It's like in your heart, when you get to do something and you feel warm and you feel like you're echoing something that is amplified in your being, then that's a good sign, and keep going at it. So that's what I mean by passion. So it's a good sign for me when I'm solving problem. I feel like when I'm figuring things out, I feel like my energy is expanding. So then that's something for me, like, and that's positive in my life. So that's how I gauge my passion. And then I'll do my actions will be supported by my passion, and they won't feel like action. You'll feel like you're floating because you're doing something you like, and time goes by and you kind of forget that time goes by. So that's what I meant when I said
I
passion.
I love it. Thank you. I needed the clarity because I know that they're going to misinterpret this. And I say this for all humans, as all men and women. Jose just said is your body needs to follow the strength of your heart, your mind, your spirit. Once you are, I'm good here in my passion, my fire, my purpose, my direction. I know what I feel doing my fighting style, which is you're like, I like to fix it. I like to sort that out. I like to expand on it. Like, I'm going to make that better. And you're in your like authenticity. So your mind, your heart, your spirit, my direction, my purpose, my character, who I am, it's all going that way. And the body's like, I guess we're going. Like your due will come when you are authentic to yourself. And I think that you said a word that in a lot of my experiences is a bad word. You said you have to reflect inward. Whoa, you mean it's not external validation? You mean I got to go this way? You mean I got to go, what am I doing? I can't gaslight my own introspection. I have to go in here and go figure out what do I like and what do I want and who am I? Are you saying this crazy thing here? Is that what you're saying?
Um, do we even really want to talk about this?
I'm being a little
I'm being funny
facetious,
too. I'm
but
being funny.
but this is probably what you're saying, and I'm gonna again putting this on the table. What you're saying is definitely single digit conversation. And what I mean by that is this is in the top 10 percentile of people who are like, I figured out my stuff. I'm following my authenticity. I'm not doing things to try to impress others, to get like, likes or subscribes. I'm doing it because it's who I am. I'm following my passion, my goal, my dream. I'm connecting to my people. I'm loving big and working hard. Like that authenticity, I would say in today's world is highly suppressed to try to achieve. And so while for you and I, who actually really authentically are doing our dream, this seems like it should be like regular conversation. But whenever I teach, that concept of like the eagles and the chickens don't speak eagle, but eagles have learned to speak chicken. And so like if you're saying like, of course we go flying, let's go flying over this, but we can fly over this and we can fly over that. Or do we have to even talk about it? Or like most people are still believing that they're chickens. And so to have a conversation about, you do know you can fly with that wingspan, right? They're like, no, I'm just a chicken. I can't fly. I'm like, so this thing's a condor. He has a huge wingspan. You can fly with this. You know that, right? No, I got to look at the ground. I got to look at the ground. So yeah, I kind of do it jokingly, but also seriously. Reflecting inward is a necessity. If you're going to know that you're supposed to go up, you have to go in. So
Mhm.
joking but not joking, you're very right. And I would be hard pressed that 90% of people will be confused by what you're saying.
Mm. And I think we avoid going inward. Like there's a tendency for being shy because we're of going in there because you might find things you don't necessarily like. What did you? I think you were talking about being a mirror or something at one point.
Oh, I
You
have a
said,
million things that I say.
yeah, you said you need to be a mirror, and that's the inward piece. It's like, okay, you gotta look inside, and you may not like all the things you see, and that's why people are gun shy about trying to go inward.
The truth is
Um,
scary, yeah.
yeah, the truth is scary, and sometimes there's, if you want to say shit, there's shit that you don't want to deal with,
Yeah, the
and
truth.
you're not, you're kind of not wanting to go there, so a little funny side note: when I first met my spouse, he's very communicative. I was not. and it's surprising I'm talking to you today, but I was not communicative specifically around emotions. I was more like a stoic, leave it in if it's too emotional. And here I am crying on your show, but but it's a long time ago. I've been with my spouse for nearly 20 years now. So, but he started talking with me about stuff that I didn't even want to talk about. And I hadn't even asked myself. So at one point, he asked me a question, and I don't remember what the question was, but I remember what I answered. I said, I haven't even talked to myself about this yet. So when you think about that, sometimes this is about being gun shy about going inward, is you don't even want to ask yourself that question because you're not ready for it. And finding the courage, do you want to call it that way? Or I don't know, strength. I don't know. What do you want to call it?
I like courage. That's a good one.
Finding the courage to reveal it to you, like what to ask that question. It takes courage, and then what are you going to do with it once you find it? That's the question too.
You're onto something very powerful, and it needs to be from this again. I need to make sure it's from the rooftops. Shout it out what you're saying. I don't think people catch how powerful the things that you're saying are, so I'm going to make it louder. First, the reason that you're crying is because you're in the presence of somebody who you can be safe with. Like, this is something for, I hope all of my men out there are wondering why she's like, I don't do this. I don't do this. It's like, I am a safe male. I'm a safe person. I'm not going to hurt you. I would, if something started getting weird, I got your back. Like, no, like, I'm not going to hurt you. And so you can be you because we're cool. You can catch the energy. Like, this guy's all right. He's not going to hurt me. Like, there's a thing there. So this is for my guys out there. If your girl's not sharing with you, what energy do you bring to this conversation? And this is, we're strangers, but already you're like, this guy's not going to hurt me. He would have my back. You can feel, right? And so I'm just going to start there. But I really enjoy how your husband was asking, hey, I got questions for you. And you're like, I haven't even talked to myself about this yet. And this gets into something that's very important with your introspection, something very important. If you haven't talked to yourself about it yet, who are you? If I ask, and I teach this, if I ask you an authentic question, something that only you could know the answer to, and you don't know the answer, am I talking to your persona? Am I talking to who you show the world to so you can belong, be liked, be approved of, be loved? Because if it works, who did I just fall in love with? Because it's not the real you, because you don't have real you answers. That means I'm talking to someone else right now. Who am I talking to? If it's not you, who? And so this is a really big introspection. And this is where I think I really like that I haven't talked to myself about this yet. Well, who are you? If it's not you,
Mm-hmm.
this is important for
and
people when
and
they're gaslighting themselves.
yeah, it's kind of funny. Obviously it's an abstract conversation what we're having here, and we're dealing with internal conversation, emotion, and I think we're having these internal conversations all the time. Like, there's little voices in your mind, and there's like the worrying mind, and there's all these different minds that come in and try to sabotage your I guess it's called some people call it the ego or something. But I, what I meant to say at the time, which I described it as I haven't talked to myself about, was I did not have the time to consider all the aspects of this question yet, and that was probably a better way of formulating it. But I was trying to just abstractly, reply to him in the moment, and that's what came out. But really, I think what I meant was really I haven't really had time to do it justice. It's a big question. I haven't had time to do it justice and consider all the pros and cons and, everything that you need to consider in making quality decisions for yourself. And I think that's what I meant more so than, not talking to me.
Well, I feel like it's the same thing. I just haven't taken the time to really go inward to myself and really see what that is. And that means there's a part of me that I suppress to make sure that that doesn't mess up other things.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, I
But
don't
we
think it's, I
anything.
don't think it's inaccurate. It's a survival system. It's a protection mechanism. And so it's not a judgment thing. It's just like, I push that down because that sucks. I don't want to talk about it. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
I understand this. And so being able to have your, praise to your husband, I'm sure that he was very cool about things, and that made it so you could go like, well, because of the way you are, it makes me want to go check it out. And
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome that he's doing those traits too, to make it so that you can, like, you know what, I don't have to act like something that suppresses their emotion anymore. I can authentically go inward knowing that I know you got me. So I can go ahead and have my space to sort that out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well done. It's cool stuff. All right, let's go back to your book. I know that we got into these like this stuff here. Let's get back to something like, okay, but there's something really important that I want to get out there, because I think you get into something that needs to be clarified, and this means people working together better. This is a fuzzy area. Even me just watching just behaviorally, I'm watching behavior. That's my field. So I'm like, what's that behavior? What's this pattern? What's that behavior? How's that working? And people working together is not working well in a lot of cases. This is a lot of problems coming up. So I need your help here on your perspective on, like, you do know we could do better. Here's how. I'd love to hear your opinion, please.
Okay, that's a great question. I wrote the book because I don't think I have all the answers, but because I do think that I have lots of learnings over the years, just by virtue of the fact that I was exposed to very different environments than a lot of other people, but also because maybe I am a little bit introspective. I kind of try to navigate the world with thinking it through. I don't know if that makes sense. But so anyway, so I felt compelled that I needed to start sharing the way I was thinking to help out others, because why navigate on your own and why figure things out on your own? There's lots of people like Rick. You figured out so much about behavioral cognitive understanding. It's not my field, so I'm not an expert when I talk about these things. I'm coming at it from, I'm a woman of STEM, and I just, there's a lot of things I didn't know that I wish I knew, that I felt compelled that I needed to share that for everyone. And that's why I wrote the book. So the last line in the book is over to you. And the reason for that is I do think we, each of us, have our own journey. And we're each of us, if you're um, paying attention, you're learning lots. And so if we start sharing things that worked well for us, even if it might not be the most, I'd say, based on all the studies or whatever, like it's your own experience. If you share what has worked for you well, then others will be able to kind of leverage it. And it's foundational as a society. So I think we need more of people speaking up, finding their voice, and sharing, where they had issues and how they overcame them, and where they had success and how they manifested these successes. So it's both sides. It's not just the negative. I think people kind of tend to, and I know there's lots of self-help things out there, and I do think that there's a component and of people wanting to kind of put the finger on what's not working, so they attract more people. Because I think as human being, and this might be also coming back full circle on our conversation, might be the way we are wired, we tend to be noticing more of the negative things or the things that aren't working, and not the things that are working, because we want to protect ourselves. So if you are intentional when you wake up in the morning and try to focus on the things that you see working well, then I think you have a better lighter day. To me, like, it's not ignore the problems, that's not what I'm saying, but what I'm trying to deal with, like, in small dosage, deal with the problem, and in big dosage, like, what are the things that are actually making you enthusiastic and right in your element, whatever that is for you.
I think it's great. I think even the concept of like the how people will do manifestation and things like this, what you focus on, that's what you're going to find. And if you're always looking at negativity, you're going to find negativity. And if you're looking for like, well, how do we make it better? You'll find solutions. But solutions may vary. And this is where it's kind of interesting to say, you said, share your story. Your solutions may vary. And Yeah, I think this is good to share your best practices. Help me, like, give me one of your best practices. Like, you've got experiences I haven't had. I want to hear some of, like, what's one of your best practices that you found through your experience? Because I am not a woman in STEM, and I do want to hear what you found. I really do.
Hmm. So I have a little diagram here in the book, and this is probably the biggest aha moment. So I'll share, and I'm gonna show it to you. So, and this is an interview, and this is like a research number that came out not even like less than 20 years ago, and you'll see that I was sharing that I was leading large engineering groups, and the majority of the people, especially when you start looking at 15 to 20 years of experience, the women, they don't, there's not a lot of women in that environment. We're lucky if we have 25%. We usually have less than 10%. So when you start having you're interviewing people, you'll have at the table different interviewees and your panel, we call it the panel. So you'll have panels of people, top four candidates. If you are, if you have only one person in the four candidates that is different than the other. So if you have like three women, one man, men has 0.07% chance of getting the job. I did not know this. I did not know this. And I led large engineering teams. And we were trying to recruit more women to kind of balance things out. We had a hard time. We didn't know why. And someone in HR who was really qualified came across and said, Josée, you know, if you only have one woman out of four, you have zero chance of hiring her. She has zero chance of getting the job. And I'm like, no, she has 25% of the chance of getting the job. And he said, no, it's a cognitive dissonance that we have, like it's a bias. Our brain starts looking at the lot and tries to eliminate the thing that is different so they can compare the things that are similar. And so this is like ancient brain stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so when
Uh,
you start
I'm
having,
curious. I have a question because I want to make sure, like, is it because like the in this field and like as a woman, is there just an ocean of women trying to do engineering that just can't get in? Like there's like women like we want to be engineers. I've got the same mind like you do. Is there really a lot? Because I'll be very open. You're the first one I've met. And I know thousands of people. Like I haven't met a
I,
lot of girls who are like, I'm just trying to get in engineering. I'm just trying to get in engineering. And they there's 0% chance. And I'm like, I haven't met one where that's what they want. So like,
uh,
is there really that many? Maybe I'm just in the wrong circles, but I haven't had a lot of women knocking on the engineering door. Not
uh,
as their dream or their passion. That's all. I'm just kind of asking, is it really like there's so many that want to, but they're just being discriminated on because I don't even see the ones that want it.
mm, yeah, it starts really early. It's a combination of conditioning and a combination. I think we would get more if we were able to dismantle some of the, I guess, foundational issues that we haven't even sometimes figured it out ourselves yet, like as a society. So this is one example of it. Like this report was less than 20 years old. How many years have we been trying to get more, diversity in engineering? It's been years, but we haven't succeeded. And people are frustrated because they're not succeeding. They're trying, but they're not succeeding.
Is
And
I'm still I just want to make sure I get clarity with you. I want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding because this argument gets into like there's a problem here, but I'm like, well, let's figure out like what is the problem first. Is it because people don't want women to do this, or maybe there's just most of them? If you're working with them, you're like, I'd run circles around this girl. Like she's not competent like I am. Like there is things because guys also have this like, dude, you're not good at this job, man. Get out of here. Like just because you're a dude doesn't mean you win. Like there's guys if he's not good at that job, dude, this guy sucks. Like that's a thing. And so just because you're a guy or a girl doesn't make you more competent or less competent. Some people just aren't that good at it. And so in the interview, it's like, well, how are these ladies showing up in this? Is like, there's a lot of human factors here that may not be discriminatory. It just may be competency. And so there's because I'd be hard pressed. There are guys that you've gone like you can engineer with, it'll kick your butt. But then there's dudes who you're like, this dude doesn't know what he's doing. I'd kick his butt.
Hmm.
I'd lean more into like how are we showing up? And then if there's only 1 out of 4, that's a lot less. And so how will we get equal? We only have 25% who even want the job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a so the numbers right now are less like in the 20% range for women in engineering.
Okay.
We probably can have more, but there's a lot of conditioning early on that maybe preclude women from following their passion in that field. Basically, construct of what do we actually teach them when they're young. Uh, what do you expose them to? What are the things that are actually going to make them float their boat? Because I think we find that women like me in engineering, we have a lot of enthusiasm about finding good solutions for our society,
Sure.
and so there's lots of women that have that trait, but because the environment may not be well suited for them, and there's a whole bunch of biases that are intrinsic to the environment, just like the one that I just revealed to myself really late in life, we may not succeed in pursuing that kind of passion. So, my goal is to help people, no matter what your passion is, no matter what your gender is, like what your passions are. Let's build a society that support you in getting that done,
Sure.
and so yeah, maybe there's less of us that might be interested in it,
Well,
but
I think that's the measurement where it gets kind of crazy on almost any, it doesn't matter, bricklayers or you name it. Like, hey, there's just not a lot of women bricklayers. It's like, they don't want to be. There's not a lot of frontline soldier women out there. They're like, they don't want to be. Like, there's things where they don't want to. This also could be a country thing because I'm in America. Are you in Canada still, or are you in a different place? Where are you at?
I'm still in Canada, yeah,
You're
but
still
I
in
lived in the
Canada.
US too, yeah.
Good. So, like, I mean, none of my girls have any interest in that. I only have one in this house who will help me build an IKEA anything. Like, they have no interest. My girl has zero interest at all in anything engineering. Not because she's been conditioned. She's like, I hate it. So, like, it's just not their wiring. And so I don't have to go like, well, she's been conditioned. I'm like, she doesn't like it. Like, that's her. And so there's an element here. Let's just say there's maybe 20% of women that do want to do this. Like, that's about where they're at in this field. 20%. Well, we shouldn't expect equal if only 20% want to be in, because 20% would be balanced. That's how many want in, and that's how many we got. That's
Yeah.
balanced. I think that would be more of where it feels like no different than like guys who want to be ballerinas. If you're like,
Hmm.
well, there's like 20% of guys that even have an interest in that, and it's like, well, we need 50-50 in here. It's like, I don't know if we do. I think 20% of dudes is still pretty good because that's all that wants to do that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't have the answer how much is societal conditioning and how much is actually pure interest. What I do know is that when we help young women realize their intellect power in solving problems, for example, in STEM, they get all fired up and enthusiastic. So
Sure.
there's a little bit of an itch that maybe your daughter might have been not exposed to certain things that
Oh
if
no,
they had been.
I would love them to help. Don't get me wrong. I'd be like, please come and help out. This isn't I suppressed them. I'm like, will you grab a screwdriver? She's like, I don't like screwdrivers. I'm like, please help. Like, no, this is just so I can like be very clear as a girl dad.
Mhm.
This is not a suppression thing. I'd love them to help out. They're like, I have no interest. I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah,
Because there's stuff they do I don't have any interest in. And so it's not like
yeah,
who's good or bad. It's just that's not your thing. I
yeah,
love you either way. And so
exactly.
the only thing I was saying is I think it might be the measurement of like what do I think is the answer for like how many should. The should is my red flag. I'm like, well, it should be half. I'm like, maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it isn't. And that is the acceptance of like just be fair at the beginning if she's competent. And I want to lean in on I think your warm competence as a woman is very, very powerful. I do not want to downplay your like I found that. You are
Hmm.
very right. Not assertive, false competency, warm competency. I'm going to be nice and cool, but I also can hold my own. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that those women coming in would be just fine because I'm going to tell you, as a guy who would be considered a men's leader, men's expert,
Mm-hmm.
none of my guys do this stuff. We don't go, well, she's a girl, so she can't. We're like, do you want to do competency or do you want to complain? And I have a lot more complainers than ones who want to be accountable to competency. And so I'm all for what you were saying because my girls are warriors. I train competent, solid girls. My woman, my baby, she's competent, solid, warm, loving. And people are like, you're so good at what you do and you're so nice. I think you're absolutely on to the right thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to make more noise for what you're saying because the modern woman is doing bad boy and not good woman. And so
Yeah,
I'm
I
leaning
think
towards competency here. Get good.
and that's what I meant when I said we're trying to go in the middle. We're trying to get to neutral, or what it is to be in the society today is like as human being, like in the neutral mode. And I don't think that's gonna serve us. I think what will serve us is finding our archetype authentically in our own way. And it doesn't mean that my archetype for as a woman is the same as the next women archetype, is going to be different. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you're a man archetype, but we want to have good men and we want to have good women coming in and being
Yes.
free to pursue their passion and being supported in pursuing their passion. So for me, that's the equation.
I think my opinion, this is my judgment from professional and personal. I think you're correct. I think the only thing that gets goofed up from where I see it is when people say the result isn't what it should be. I think that
Mm.
everything you said, like, and this, I do this with my red pill guys and all that stuff. I'm like, you're right until that one little thing. That's the only part I get goofed up is like, so you need to pursue your dreams, pursue your passion, pursue your goal, find your authenticity. And then we need 50-50 of both. And you're like, whoa, it may not be 50-50. It may be 30-70. It may not be 50-50 here. Like, yeah, but no, we need equal. We need equal. I'm like, no, 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 they may not be equal. Hold on. I'm with you until that part. And that's why I
Hmm.
said, well, what's the
And I
right
never said
measurement?
equal. I
No,
never
no,
said equal.
I
What
didn't say
I'm,
you did. I'm just saying that's where
yeah,
it seems like what's the result we're trying to get is where it goes off the rails.
absolutely. And I don't think a metric of equal is the right metric either, mainly because you might or in a circumstance not be the perfect individual for the circumstance, like, so that does happen. So I do believe that, you're going to be able to lift a bed up the stairwell and I won't. And so there's circumstances that are just going to be different. So
I
fifty
couldn't have fixed
fifty,
that spoke. I couldn't have fixed
yeah.
that spoke you fixed. I would have been like, dude, I don't know, get a tree branch. I don't know. I'll carry your bike. Like, nah, listen, I recognize skill, recognize the skill. I'm with you.
Yeah,
And
so at the end, it doesn't, equality is not the goal, but equal access is the goal. So people, if they want to access it, they have the ability to access
good.
it, and that to me is the distinction where
This
we
may be
do.
my American self talking. This may be like where I just haven't experienced enough Canada or enough other countries and stuff. Um, is there really this level of discrimination or is it really a competency thing? And I think that would be where I'd try to measure, is it discrimination or is it just like she's really not that good at this? Just because she's a girl doesn't mean she's good at it, and just because he's a guy doesn't mean he's better at it. There's, because remember, out of those four people, two guys don't get hired too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means
And
that why are
I said,
twice as
you
many
know
guys didn't get the job? You're like, we could
yes.
turn this into a weird conversation. It's like, well, those guys weren't as good as that person.
And that's not what I'm trying to highlight. What I'm trying to highlight is like there's cognitive dissonance that are happening in our day-to-day world, that revealing them allows you to balance the table. Like if I know this and I'm, let's say, let's put a male environment, or a women dominated environment like nursing.
Sure.
If you have four people being interviewed to be a nurse, one of them is a man. If you know that bias, that's cognitive bias. What can you do about it? Is like you could avoid having 3 to 1. You could say, I'm going to take my top two and just compare them. So then
That's
it gives
competency.
it,
Again, that's
it,
competency.
so then you look at the top two, then you eliminate that distortion. I call it dissonance, but it's like basically
It's
something that
bias. It's a cognitive
it's a
bias of,
bias.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So by reorganizing the table and saying, instead of taking my top four, I'm going to be hard and have courage to say, I'm going to just evaluate these two, and they're both different from each other, and my brain, my human brain, is going to be able to compare them more fairly. And then you go, so that's the kind of solution that I'm suggesting, is solutions where you really reveal to yourself, not to yourself like personally, but as a society, okay, these are things that are actually almost like spokes in the wheel, that are uh, roadblocks that are keeping people from really being able to pursue their passion. What can we do to eliminate the roadblocks so people are happier, more happy, well-being, and they contribute to the society to the best of their ability?
I agree. And I think the issue is the prejudice then. Is when the person who's hiring is like, well, this is a women's environment, so we're not hiring this guy. It's gross. Or it's a male environment, and what do we need a chick around here for? They're just HR problems. Like the biases that people will have, like they're there. The stereotypes are there for a reason. And so then we have to challenge the stereotypes for, like, is it truth or is it just your point of view? And this is where, like, I look at the human behavior element of it and go like, well, this person's doing a thing. And is the hiring person the problem, or is the industry just not that desirable for that gender? I want to say it was they did this in a Scandinavian country, and I only loosely read the studies on this, but so I'm not going to start quoting all of it. But they were watching where they did this thing where they were very like, you pick whatever jobs you want. They were like, women pick the men jobs, and men you can pick the women job. They went very far into like no restrictions, no rules. I'm sure you've seen this already. I guarantee you've seen. No, you haven't. Okay.
Maybe.
So what they did is they did this in Scandinavia, very much what you're saying. They're like, do exactly what Josie's saying. Do what she's saying. Do it. And they're like, okay, I'm going to do that. And what happened was it didn't get more balanced. It actually got further apart because women did choose more like, that's the female job I want to do. More teachers, more social workers, more like STEM stuff. The girls were going, I'm going toward what I really like. If I have no restrictions, I'm going to do what I really, really like to do. And it became more separated, where the boys went more construction and heavy lifting and hard work. And the girls went more into like you said, like the STEM stuff, or it's going into more human stuff, teachers, or working with children, or working with like elderly people. And it just split off, but there was no restriction, and there was no cognitive biases, and there was no push societally. It didn't actually get more balanced. It got further apart and more separate, because now the authentic female was doing authentic female choice, and authentic male was choosing authentic male choice. And it got more clear of which one was like, that's what they choose more, with no rules, no restrictions, no bias.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just putting
And
that out there, where it may not be, like I said, the answer may not be, it needs to be more balanced as the number of how many are in. It just may be more of a, let's stop each other from not doing what we like.
absolutely, and it's okay. If that's all that it is, so I'm going to draw you something. So right there, maybe you said, it's more male dominated in a certain area, or it's more women dominated. You have that little white part here that are the people that are the minority, within the environment that you're in. And we need that's why I wrote the book, is I was a minority and I was trying to follow my passion, and I wanted to kind of succeed in that. I had, my so how do we actually succeed if you're not supported by the rest? Like if you're ejected by the rest. So how do we build it so it's strong, and as a society we get the whole group
Yes. I,
ticking on all cylinders,
I think
instead
it's
of having
competence.
just this part ticking on all
If
cylinders.
you look at because I'm going to relate to you, because you, as like a female in the engineering world, in the psychology world, it's primarily female.
Mm-hmm.
like in the psychology world, that's more female dominated than it is male. And whenever I was doing also certifications in different coaching fields and different stuff, when I was going through stuff, I'd go to these conventions and it's like 10% male. And so like in this field, there's a lot more females in social work, in counseling, in therapy, in psychology. There's a lot more females than there are guys, right? I'm in that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I differentiate myself as like, hey, this guy in this field that's primarily female, how does he like also fit in? The only thing I can think is competency. He's really good. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's the same thing for my girls. How come Josée what makes her okay to be in this environment? She's good. That's why I want her on my team, because she's capable, competent, hardworking. She shows up and she's clever. She's got engineering creativity that I don't have. I want her on my team because she got a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think competency does need to become more the measurement. It's not about gender or sex or any of that stuff. It's like, get good at what you're doing and people will want you on the team. I don't care if you're a guy or a girl. Get good. And I think that becomes, if that's the focus, is not so much like, hey, you need to be like this for me, but no, I need to be good for everyone. Then that person is the person I can't wait to have on my team. And I don't give a rip if they're a guy or a girl. If you're good, I want you on my team.
All right. So, Battles of the Mind is the title of your podcast.
Yeah,
Can I go in a ring with you on this?
I would love to. Yeah, please come, please.
Okay. So, competency, yes. But when you are in a minority environment, what is showing up is that you might be competent, but if you don't have the support and allyship of the rest of that whatever sphere of people, uh, it becomes more difficult for you to be recognized as competent. You might be experiencing different kind of, I'd say, unfair conditions that and I don't know how, and it could be that you have different struggles just because you're a different component in the lot, if you will, and so yes, try to work on your competency if you want and advance that, but be aware that you can't do it alone and you cannot feel that it's all on your shoulders, that you need, well, maybe what is on your shoulders is to speak up like me, but I would say what is on your shoulder is to try to show up as your best self, as the most competent self that you are in that system, but
Sure.
know that you also, if you're in this part, like if you're in the majority, you need to treat this white part with a lot of delicacy and a lot, or a delicate, in a delicate way, not delicate, in a delicate way, in a considerate way, in a trying to understand way,
Okay.
because if you don't do that, you're gonna shut them out and you're gonna get them to vacate the space, which is going to be a loss for everyone because you're going to lose. You're going to lose like a big portion of the people.
You
Yeah.
you've been around a lot of men, like in that environment. And I really do want to know, like, is the environment so toxic that all men are like they were against you the whole time? Or was there
No,
like there's
not
a
at
couple
all.
dudes who are like, no, she's awesome, man. And like, or if somebody tried to say something derogatory, like, don't fucking talk to her like that. Like, like I'd be hard pressed you didn't have protectors and you didn't have people who looked out for you as like good guys. You did.
Thousands of good guys.
You
Like,
had good ones. So that's what
absolutely.
I'm only asking for clarity, because I mean, I'd be hard pressed if you're like, I'm a hard worker, I'm good, I got that engineer mind, and I'm one of you guys. I love working on this stuff, and you're a contributor, you're not a complainer, you're looking for solutions, and you're a fixer. I'd be hard pressed that you'd really have all of this opposition and nobody having your back. I'd be hard pressed that your real experience is none of these guys are good in that environment. Everyone just holds women down.
Yeah.
Would it be accurate that like you had guys who looked out for you? You weren't alone. You had
A
support.
100%.
Okay.
And yes. So what I'm saying is when you are, and in some circumstance, I'm in the majority as well. Like, in some of my environments, I'm in the majority
Sure.
as well. But then what my journey has helped me understand and see is that what we need when you are in this majority environment, you need to really consider that minority in a different way, because they are struggling with all the things we just talked about over the last hour and a half. They're struggling with distortion potentially because they're trying to fit in. They're dealing with, so there's a lot of things that they have to negotiate. So how
I'm
do
openly
you?
curious. So distortion is one of the ones like so they feel like they don't fit in. They have a distorted point of view of it. What do you mean by this? Like I want to make sure that I
Oh,
do want to see you like empathetically, like what is the plight here? Because I see you as somebody who had support and people did look after and people did protect and people did have your back and
mhm.
people were supporting you. But you're saying like it's not like that. And that's why I'm like, well, it sounds like it was. So I don't know if I understand. And also, if you want to see who hates my guts the most, go look at the females in the comment section. So if you want to talk about like who's going to be throwing the most shade, I've got women who have entire pages to just hating my guts. So like I'm open to hear what you're talking about.
I will. I did not read the comments for
Oh,
for the
don't I
women's
don't
section.
either. I don't either. Don't worry. You don't have to. I'm just saying I'm like looking at this, I'm like there's so much hate from this side and I'm looking out for ladies, which is very funny.
It's
So
so
I'm just
sad.
so I am curious on like what are some of these obstacles that like in your experience that like we have to be delicate with this side. I'm like, should we be delicate? Should we really do that? Because isn't that a little in my mind? It feels disrespectful to you to act so delicate. It feels like
Yeah.
I'm disrespecting you in this field if I have to treat you special because you're a minority. I think I should treat you just the same, and that way you are a competent person that I respect, honor, and I could even trust.
Yeah, I think your expectations of the role that the person comes into is different. So right away, it's a dissonance in your brain because you say, "Oh, I haven't seen very many people in that environment that are actually doing and good at this." So already
Sure.
you're coming at it from with this bias in your mind is like, so then
So
what you're going to
so I'm making sure
do.
you were, or you think other people are. I want to make sure I'm clear.
No, I'm just saying, like in general, like I would probably be the same if I'm in in the majority group.
Yeah.
I would actually look at someone coming in as a minority and have that. I'm just talking about uh,
Let's just do
cognitive
nursing for
dissonance.
guys nurses or something. There's more women than males, and so a guy coming
Yeah.
in, it's like, I sure hope this guy is good at this because most guys don't do this. So I hope that they're good at it.
So you already start with it with
Right.
that preconceived notion. So then the equation is they need to prove to you that they can do the job. Like
I think
so
that's
then
fair. I think it's
yeah.
fair for
So
everyone to do that.
yeah. So then, but it's fair, but it's not quite fair because
That's what I want to hear. Yeah.
yeah, it's not quite fair because if you're part of this group, so in your mind, it's the person fits their role, whatever that role is, 100%. Like it's exactly what you expect to see in that role. You're in the majority. Okay. So they're going to be sitting side by side with you. You're not even going to ask the question if they're competent or not. You're not going to test them if they're
I
not.
think I
You're,
see what you're saying. Okay, you're talking about poor leadership. You're not talking about diversity, you're not talking about minority, you're talking about poor leadership. Because I'm a good leader, and I'm going to tell you right now that circle doesn't apply to my stuff at all. Because I am way harder on my closest guys than I am on the new guys. I am 10 times harder on Chris Miller and my generals than I am on the guy who just came in and doesn't know what they're doing at all. I don't care if he's a minority or not. If he doesn't know what he's doing, he doesn't know what he's doing. But my guys who do know what they're doing, they have way harder talks with me than the new guy. And so a good leader doesn't do this nepotism thing that you're talking about. You're talking about bad leadership. You're not talking about
Mm-hmm.
minorities. You're talking about bad leaders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay, that's a
absolutely.
different conversation because I'm looking at this circle. I'm like, this doesn't apply. I don't know what you're talking about.
But
If you have bad leadership, though, then this circle is different.
hmm but the circle though is representing the majority, and then the people around would be the different people, like whatever that is, like wherever you are. So the different people end up having in your brain a different treatment because they haven't proven to you that they can be part of the majority.
If you have
So
a bad leader,
if you're a bad leader,
no,
but
if there
uh,
is, period, a bad leader.
if
I'm
there
I'm
is
I'm
a bad
pointing this out
leader.
for you because I have an organization with tons of diversity. There's no well, I mean it's men's group and then my women's group, so there is that separation because they are wired different. But like inside of there, I don't have any. I got a Chinese guy at my house right now. I got a Lebanese guy in there. I got a Norse guy in there. We got all races in there. I got black guys, white guys, all of them. There is if you're a dude, you're a dude. I don't care.
Mhm.
There is no hate in any capacity in my group, not because I'm pushing agenda, but because that's a human and we're all working towards being better. Because you have healthy leader, there is no we're a minority here. It's like, no, you're a human being here and we treat each other this way. We have a creed that we live by that has nothing to do with bias in any capacity. It's like, do you do the right thing or not? I don't care what color your skin is or what's going on with you. And so that's leadership. But if you have a
Mhm.
person who's like, they're different, let's be mean to them, that's not a good leader. That's just
No, no,
that
no.
everything. It doesn't matter if it's a male or female. That's just a bad leader. That's a bully. That's not
But
leadership. That's bullying.
even if we are good leaders, and we are, if we are good leaders, we're in the majority. We're trying to do the good thing. We're give it at all. You still don't know all the things that you don't know
Well,
as
sure.
as that are actually playing havoc with your with playing games with your mind.
Well,
And
that's only
that's
if they don't do what you taught earlier, which is do your introspection so you know who you are. Because if you haven't had a conversation with yourself, then you're going to be a bad leader. But you can't follow that guy or girl, anyways.
only, and not because I think there's biases that are unconscious that we haven't acknowledged yet, that are actually playing against the integration of a minority circumstance in a majority. And and that's a very difficult component to, like, because we all trying to do our best and we're trying to be good leaders. I was trying to be a good leader when I was in engineering. I did not know about these ratios when you hire. I tried to do the right thing. I tried to have 1 in 4 women because that was about 20%, 25%. That was my ratio. And all along, like, they were not getting hired. And the reason why they weren't getting hired is because I did not understand that bias. I did not give them an equal footing. And that's what I'm trying to
But
reveal.
I think you're saying the right words, but they're mixed in here. I'm running into like it's not sounding the same, and so I'm trying to get clarity on this part. It's not equal. It's not supposed to be equal. But when they come in, they should be delicate in this area. They are a minority. I'm like, I think that separates them more if we're delicate with them. They should be run through the ringer so that way they're like, no, no, they can hold their own, and I trust them more now. I don't agree that this should be treated special. I believe it should be treated like be hard again, but I hold myself to the same standard because remember I told you when a guy comes into my organization or a girl comes into my organization, what's the first thing I want them to do? Challenge the leader. You need to
Mhm,
see, am I competent? I want to see if you're competent.
mhm.
Are you also, do you have the willingness to fight? Will you stand up when you fall down? Are you going to keep going when it gets hard? Do you bitch and complain when you don't get your way? I want to see who you are too. And I don't think I should treat you special. I think I
Okay,
should
yeah,
treat you
I agree.
fairly.
I agree, and maybe the word delicate was absolutely the wrong word to use in
Okay,
this circumstance,
fair
because
enough. Let me
you
delete it because
should be
that,
hard on them. You should be equally hard on them,
yeah.
And that's not what I'm trying to explore. What I'm trying to explore with you is the fact that there's almost, I hate that word, but I'm going to use it here. There's almost like a privilege of being part of the the majority. And if you say there's a privilege, the people around that majority are don't have that privilege. So how do you actually help these people that have passion for doing what you do fit in, is by acknowledging that you might be in this majority circumstance with some privilege. What are the things that could defunk these privileges that allows equal playing field for the people that are in the minority group?
I have a great solution. And actually, you already said it. You have an engineering mind. You have a mind that goes, I can see that this piece isn't working, or there's something wrong, or this leadership style here makes it so we have an organization that's goofed up. If that cog is wrong, it's making a trickle down effect, and we have to fix that cog, right? This is very simple to me, and this is maybe where you have to educate me on Canadian law or something like that. Can women can women start a business in Canada? Could you own a company? Can women
Mm-hmm.
own a business there? Okay, so that's not
Mm-hmm.
crazy then. And for me, and this is my challenger brain or my leadership brain, if I see somebody doing something wrong and that's how they operate, and I'm like, it would be better if it's done this way, then I'll make a better way and compete. If there's an engineering company where it's run this way, but you know this is wrong, if it would be better another way, then build the other way. And now I'll compete with this, whether it's a misogynistic or chauvinistic or exclusive group. I'm like, my inclusion group would kick the shit out of you because of skill, not because of gender, sex, or any of that stuff. It's because you're getting rid of the good ones because of your bias. Well, if I put the good ones together, that's not bias, I'd stomp your company. I'll compete with you. And you said competition, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you had assertiveness and competition. It's like, well, why don't we just make a better one? I don't understand. Like if these guys are really making this exclusive group, well, why don't we just make one that doesn't do that and we go off of competency as our creed, not, your
Yeah.
gender? Why don't we do that?
Where we lose then is the superpower we talked about earlier, which has the complementary nature of women and women working together and figuring things out together. So that's where we lose, and,
What
and
what do
that's
you mean
why.
by that? What do you mean by like
Well, when we were saying like you can come in and be my supporter, you can be providing that security, you can be providing that, you can show up and lean in, I can lean on you, you can lean on me because you know that I have your back.
sure.
This superpower that my women archetype coming in to your male archetype, we can combine these two archetypes together and create something that is greater.
Yes.
We're missing out on that opportunity if all we do is compete. So like,
No,
if
no.
we
I
try
would
to, yeah.
I would compete with the bad guys here, not with the
Yeah.
girls, because I would create. I'm gonna play, the advocate on the opposing element of this. Like, oh, there's a problem. Well, here's what my solution would be. All right. I'd be hard pressed. All of the guys in that circle love bullying the girls. There's dickheads in
No.
there, I'm sure of it, but there's good guys in there. Go like, don't treat people shitty, because most guys are good. Most. There's bad ones. Don't get me wrong, but most are decent.
Mhm.
So the majority, they're quieter, like your grandfather. They're not going to be advertising I'm a good guy because good people don't need to do that. And so
A
most are
hundred
good.
percent, a
Okay,
hundred percent, and I'll actually add to this. In my whole career, and it might have been a lucky one, I had fabulous experience working with men. Uh, I had, I was not directly like exposed to negative things related to that, and that I hear like for sometimes
sure.
I do hear bad experiences. I touch wood that I have been lucky in that way, but then in other ways, maybe a few words here and there that some minority, as you said, would have come out and say, "Oh, this was not, in my view, that was not considerate," and I
Guys do it to
decided,
guys too. We're just as crappy to each other.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
so I think you find that everywhere. And I've been in women's circle. Well, that was not very considerate either. So I
Yeah.
don't see that we have an uneven distribution of considerate versus not considerate in
Fair
gender.
enough.
It's all equal that way.
Yeah.
But despite our best intention of showing up and being supportive, there's almost an act. There's different layers. There's a layer where you become aware, and there's a layer where I'm gonna actually actively speak up, and there's a because I see something, and there's this other layer where I'm actually not just gonna speak up, but I'm gonna act. And these, and you talk about positive leadership, that positive leadership has multiple layers, and I think it builds like that. It builds like, I'm super unconscious and maybe not so nice. That's the minority. And then you have a big portion of the people that are trying to be positive leaders, and they're trying to show up as leaders, and they're figuring things out. They haven't figured out, good leadership yet, but they're on their path, and they're humble enough and have the courage to actually tackle it. And they're going to start talking with Rick and they're going to try to, okay, Rick, like, help me figure out, because that's your line of work, like that's your expertise. Don't go and talk to Josée because she's but if she needs fixing, I can help you out. but
Well, that part's not true. You have
no,
value.
I'm
You
I'm
have
I'm being,
value.
yeah,
Well, you're
I know, I'm
joking,
I'm being
but no, I
I'm
also
joking.
wouldn't joke about downplaying your value because there's very few things that you're saying I disagree with. I just like us coming at it from a different point of view. And so, like you said, hey, this is a battlefield I want to challenge. I'm like, yes, please. Like you're supposed to. This is very healthy, and so I like it. But I also wouldn't downplay. I wouldn't say, don't talk to her. She's just a woman. Like I definitely, you have high value in this conversation. So I don't think that either. Just even as a joke, I wouldn't joke like, don't talk to her. No, I absolutely think they should hear what you have to say. It's very
so
valuable.
so I think as you go up the scale, and if you're in the majority, you're a good leader, you're trying to figure it out. That's probably most of us. Then you have that small group of people that will actually not only see it, but they're going to say it. Like, okay, hey, listen, gals, like, be nicer to the to. So that's one layer, that is going to be very courageous, and that's a small percentage. Then you have that even higher percentage that says, not only will I speak up if I see inequality in this system, I'm actually going to help positively influence the and enable these people that are in this minority group to be feeling comfortable, and to be comfortable in the group, like that we're not rejecting them.
I don't know if that's the right word, and maybe we can help. The comfortable word is the only word I'm like, I don't know if that's the right word for what we're trying to do for respect and to be, that's my teammate, that's my partner. Because I don't think that, especially if we're building or we're growing or we're working on stuff, trying to achieve comfort may not be the right word here.
I agree.
Because
So
I
give me a
want to
better
be able,
word. Give me a better
well,
word.
I still think that giving opportunity for competency is what is right instead of who is right because you're not what I think you should be. I really do think you should be challenged aggressively to hold your own, just as I should be challenged to hold my own. I want to measure, are you actually the person who, and you know what? It's not about being the best, even. It's just like sometimes you'll fail. And like, how did you handle the failure? Did you cry and run off? Did you blame somebody and throw the wrench? Like, what did you do? Because I want to see, how do you overcome difficult things? And when you're put under pressure, who are you really? I want to see. All the facade will go down when you don't get the way you think it should go. So I want to see how you handle that too. And I do this with my men, and I do this with the women. Who are you when you don't get what you want? And then even more scary is, who are you when you're in charge? And this is where you start seeing who people really are. You give them power and authority, you'll see how they treat people. You take things away, you'll see how they treat themselves. I'll see how you treat you and how you respond or react. And these elements of who you really are part of, as a leader, I assess, but also I have to challenge myself on. because I have
Mm-hmm.
abundance, whether it be that person who will speak up and act, I will do both. But how do
Mm-hmm.
I do that? That shows you who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
this is important for all of these things. I don't subscribe to the who is right. I subscribe to the what is right. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that making you feel comfortable is right. I think making sure that you have the ability to be competent so I can trust you is better.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you
Yeah,
the time to like,
and
hey,
the
go ahead and
word
do the work. I'm going to
and the
believe
word
in you.
comfortable, you're getting hung up on that. But what I mean by comfortable was like being part of the group, and be included in the group. And that's what I mean by comfortable is like you're okay, you're part of this group, even if you're a minority, and that's what I mean by comfortable.
Okay,
And
so
if
then I would need
yeah,
clarity on what is making somebody uncomfortable because, like, being mean isn't cool across the board. It doesn't matter if it's a gender or a race thing. Being mean sucks, anyways. And, like, that's what I wonder. Like, is there a bully? Because if there's bullying, that's universally sucks.
that
And
university sucks. But if you're in the majority and you don't even observe the circumstance that might be happening to the
sure.
minority in the group, and that's by the way, that's a big portion of the majority. Like we're going to be kind of sitting there happily going, thinking, this is great. Like, and there's no reason for you to start asking question, is he or she feeling different than I am? Like, there's no reason for
Well,
you
are the
to be
minorities asking the other people, do you feel different than me?
yeah, like
They
they
do? Because
should.
well,
They
no, they
should,
should. No, no, but do
yeah,
they?
they
Do they
should.
have the courage to go like, "Hey, I feel a little out here. Do you feel out too?" They're like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody even asked me that before. Like, nobody gives a shit about what I'm doing. Like, what are you talking about?" No, do I feel out? I don't even feel it in the first place. I'm just here to get paid. I don't care. Like these things that may be a concern, I'd be hard pressed, even if I've been in a male environment, that these guys are all in their own thing anyways, and they're not worrying about like what's everybody else thinking about if I belong or not. They're like, my stuff sucks. I got bills and my wife and I are fighting and the kids have this football thing and I don't have the time to get there. And so everyone's in their own thing anyways. And so who belongs?
Exactly, who belongs. So maybe my invitation is that okay, when you do have people that are in your environment that are courageous enough to maybe pursue their passion despite the historical lineage of what what the standard would be, or what our majority people are tending to do, maybe look at them with extra eyes, like kind of say, oh yeah, they're here and they're showing up, and what can I do to assure that I make them feel part of us somehow, so then they don't bail out, and they don't bail out because of you talk about competency. They don't bail out about competency. They just bail out because they might not have had the reciprocal love that you you would feel if you were right away like associating directly with the person. And
I
it's
don't know if
tough.
I'm connecting with that part because like both of us and I don't know, I don't think it's a skin color thing because you're a woman and male and we're both in reversed environments right now. And I'll have women who hate me in this field because I'll challenge their competency and they hate that. And then like you've had guys who in your field, like they'll look after you and be like these things that are like it's supposed to be. The women are the nurturers and like they're mean as fuck to me. I don't know what you're talking about. And then like you're like the guys are supposed to be all misogynistic and mean. You're like, not my experience. They actually looked out for me and I had a lot of good guys that took care of me. Like, so I'm trying to understand like what is this thing that I'm trying to do? Because neither of us are really experiencing this how it should be thing because you already had how it should be. And so, like, your
Hmm.
experience sounds like you already got it. So, what are we trying to fix? Because it already did what you were looking for. People looked out for you, raised you up, had your back, supported you, and you weren't alone. But this is just from hanging out with you. I'd also be hard pressed. You could hold your own. Like, you could actually do the job. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if you really went in there and couldn't do it. Like, you could go,
Yeah,
like, well, I know
I
how to
could
fix
do.
that.
I could do the job,
Yeah.
no question. I could do the job, and I've trained and I've worked and I have hands-on experience and all that. So I end
Yeah.
up having been exposed to things, because I did the job.
And you
But
liked it.
I love it. Like,
Yeah.
beyond it, I still
You
love
can
it. I
feel that.
still work on it.
You
I
like it.
absolutely love it. And I would not choose a different job, so, and that's why I wanted to share my experiences and the things that were aha moments
Yeah.
for me in my life, because I thought, if I don't share, then, and I wanted to share that I had a positive experience working in a male dominated
I
environment,
love it.
that
I'm glad
I
you
have
did.
allies, that we can have conversations that are, going both ways. My offer would be for the people that are in the majority, just to have some consideration for that courage of showing up in a different environment. And consideration, when I say consideration, is like not special treatment,
Okay.
but it's more for the majority to be aware that the people that are the minority might have different struggles than their own. They just by virtue of the fact that they're showing up, and
That's
they're
special treatment, though. I don't. This is where like that would be special treatment. But you said you shouldn't do special treatment, but that is special treatment. I don't. I don't
Well,
agree with the special treatment.
it's more awareness, and it's more looking specifically about dynamics that might be suboptimal just because of the fact that they're different than the rest.
I think I'm
And
wired different on this one. This is that's the one part like where I agree with what you're trying to do, but I don't think I agree with the way to do it. And this is something where I'm like, I believe that just like your grandfather, I'm going to lean into the strength of how he didn't have it easy. He wasn't accepted. He wasn't given the opportunity. He made it. He had to go through the hardest elements of things to become good. He had to do it in the hardest circumstances, something that seems like on paper, this isn't fair. This isn't the way, this is not comfortable. This is impossible by most people's standards because a majority of people during this time did not change the stars. They ended up staying in poverty and they never broke out of this environment. And because of how hard it was and how difficult it was, and his fortitude and his focus and his determination and his compassion and his love and his strength, he became something great. I lean that way. I don't want it to be easy for these guys, and I don't train easy. I train warriors. I train men to be strong and safe in every element for their women and for their kids and for their dog. Like, you're going to be good in mind,
for
heart, body,
themselves
spirit.
too, for
Well, we
themselves
have
too.
to be. We have
Mhm.
to lead, though, by being genuinely actually strong in every category, good in every category. But we have to know ourselves to do that. And in order to do that, I can in no way play any special treatment on anyone. I don't care if they're black or Lebanese or white or Chinese. I don't care. I'm going to run you through the same gauntlet. And if you quit, that had nothing to do with your special circumstance. You're a quitter. That has nothing to do with it. But if you're a person who keeps standing up, and I can trust that you're a guy who, no matter how hard you get hit, or if you're a girl, no matter how hard you get hit, you get up and you keep fighting. I'm like, I want that one on my team because I'm measuring character, not external anything. And so everybody in there, and this is where it gets into like men lead lives of silent desperation to begin with. None of those guys feel like they truly belong to begin with. And so if you feel like you don't fit in, welcome to the club. Like, that's probably more the reality. So I'm on the other end of this where I'm like, I think it's a disservice to treat special treatment. I think if you came in to the primarily men area and you want to be treated with respect and honor and dignity and compassion, I'm going to go, you got to do the gauntlet just like we did. But if I give you special treatment, like, you can skip the gauntlet, you're one of us. You're not, because you can't do the
No, no.
gauntlet.
And that's where I think the whole conversation becomes very distorted, and that's not the path that I wanted
Okay.
us to go on. And the path that I wanted us to go on was more to, you talk about, I just wrote it down, measuring character.
Yes.
The path I want to go on is the majority. When you just happen to be in that majority, you just have this lens because you're in that majority. When you're a minority in that environment, uh, you're trying, your measures are, you can't measure in the same lens because you're not going to meet, like your brain will have certain things that will be expected and they're not going to be there.
Those are the things I
But
don't know what you're talking about, and I'm being very open. I don't know what that means, but what does it mean that you're saying like they're having a measurement of what thing?
you said we're measuring character. I'm
Sure.
measuring your character, so I'm going to test you, and I'm going to actually, try to. So it's your own measuring that is overlaid with your majority thinking for that
Okay, so
environment.
now this is where I need clarity. Like what? Like, oh, because you're a woman, you're bad, or because you're a woman, they can't do the job? Like, what would be the bias I would have for the majority versus the minority that makes it so that you feel separated?
Yeah. So you're measuring through all your biases and all your cognitive biases. And it doesn't mean that the people in that minority are less competent.
Right.
It doesn't mean it, but your criteria for what is competent is coming through in your mind as the mind of the majority.
So
I'll
I'm
say
trying to
that
make
back
this
again.
is where I want clarity. So like I'm looking at you as though this is the standard I hold to the majority.
That's right.
Isn't
And
that fair?
it's fair only if you're only looking for the specificity of of having exactly that. But
So
what I
like
was trying to invite the
no,
thought of is that
I still
you're
don't understand the problem. I still don't. I do. I really want the clarity so I can connect for the solution. I really want that for us. Um,
mhm,
Give me an example of like a bias so I can connect to like the thing where, because right now what you just said sounds like you're treating the new person like you treated everybody else, and that's not right. And I'm like, that seems like exactly right. I don't know what you mean. I do need to have a bias or an example of like this is what the
yeah.
majority actually does so I can go,
Hmm.
oh, there's the thing that needs to be solved.
Yeah. So let's say, I'm just trying to not get into an example that is going to be charged because there's multiple charges
I
in different
promise you, I
ways.
will not attack you. I promise you.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
going to
no. It
attack you. And
charged in the conversation because there's so many conversations that are charged and have like these unintended powers that
oh,
are
we're good. We're
dividing
good.
us.
We're good. I'm
So
not divided. I'm
so
trying to connect with you. We're
no. Dividing us
good.
as a society, not you and I, but
Oh,
not
then
you
they
and
should be
I.
listening to us. Pay attention. Watch how we're not fighting about this. Okay. No, I really do want to hear your opinion, though. I really do
Hmm.
want this because I you are seeing something I don't see, and I'm very open about it.
Yes,
What
and
is the thing I'm missing?
I love it. I love it because that's exactly the hard part. It's the understanding that the people that are the minority at the table might have a very different experience just because they are the minority, and they have a different experience because they come at it from different angle.
Is that
But
their
it does.
point of view then? Is it because they come in with a bias against the majority then?
They have a bias, but you have a bias too. So,
So
but it
both people
doesn't.
have a bias. So
Both
both are
people,
coming in
both
with an opinion.
people. Yeah.
Okay.
We're all coming with our biases, but we're all coming with our biases to an environment. And let's just for fun say that we want to have a mix in that environment. Like that's our desire because
Okay.
we
When
think
you say a mix, I want to make sure what's a mix.
a mix
Like tall
of
people,
people
short
that are.
people, fat people, skinny people. Like, what are we talking about?
No, we don't want it to be all one. We don't want it to be all the same.
What
Like
does that mean?
let's say the desire, like I'm in mechanical engineering,
Sure.
if we say out of 100 people that are mechanical engineers, we do want to say if it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 30%, whoever has that passion in our society, whatever society is, we
Sure.
want to have them part of the team. If they're competent, if they're trained, if they have skills to bring, we want them part of that
Sounds
group.
good. I'm with you so
Sounds
far.
good?
Yeah.
So if for fun, we want to have that mix. I'm a mix. Like I'm in the mix, you know. I'm
Sure.
and but so I come in with my own bias. You come in with your own bias. I come in with our own skills. I come in and I'll show up and I'll try to be the best person I can be, and I'll try to lean in and help that group. And you're gonna be in the majority, and you're gonna be coming in as the potential, leader, the best leader that you have, the best potential that you can bring as a leader, and you're going to bring that in the majority. The people that are showing up in the minority section, they'll be facing like a sea of people that are different than them, and they're going
Different how? I want to make sure clear.
different
Like,
because they're just happening to be different. Like I'm showing up as a woman in this male environment. I'm different than them. I
okay,
know that I'm
so we
different.
got a woman. You're a woman.
Yeah.
So because you're a
Yeah.
woman, she's a woman, right? Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I know I'm different. And there's no way I'm not going to be different, but it doesn't mean that I shouldn't be part of this group. I shouldn't be part of the mechanical engineering group. Do you agree?
I don't think the entire industry that you've experienced disagreed with you because everyone's like, yeah, come on in. So I
That's
think that
right.
so far it seems like we're agreeing and you have
We're agreeing.
experienced exactly what you said. So I'm still trying to find out where
Yeah.
like, well, you experienced and lived the solution that you're proposing. I don't see the problem yet. I don't, and I'm like, so far it looks like it's working. I don't
It's working.
see the problem. What's the problem here?
So the problem ends up being where the majority of the people don't realize the challenges that are attributable to being a minority.
Still think there's
It,
something
it
to the like the statement of I'm a minority or I'm a majority. I think if we want us to be us, I think we have to stop using even that separation element of it. Because I'll tell you right now, I'll give you a minority and majority in my group. You're either a new guy or you've gone through training. Like
Mhm,
I don't care. Are you? Did you train or you didn't train? I don't care about anything else. So you're a minority because you're new, not
mhm,
because you're a woman, not because you're a race, not because of any of this stuff. It's like, no, you just new,
mhm,
but you won't be soon. Just keep going through stuff with us, and then you'll be in the majority because you're not new anymore.
mhm.
And so it's
Yeah.
hard to say like everyone's a minority, then you're the new guy or you're the new girl. Like
Mhm,
everyone's a minority at the beginning because everyone else has been here longer than you. Until you've been
mhm,
here long enough that there's more new guys and new girls coming in. You're like, who's the new guy? Who's the new girl? And then now you're in the majority. I don't think that's a race or gender thing. At least I grew up in Detroit. I was also a minority in my groups and stuff. And those guys, those are my dudes. Like,
mhm,
like, I get along with my black guys very well because I was the minority, but I also knew there were dangers when we would go out and other black guys would be like, what's this white guy doing here? I understand, but I also had all my guys like, this one's all right. So just like you, I had people looking out for me too. There's an
mhm.
element here of where I'm trying to understand.
So
We're
we
both
need more.
experienced the world
We
that's been
need
what we're looking for.
so that's exactly the world that we're looking for, and this is such a good analogy that you gave me. Like you needed to have the people in Detroit that were saying Rick is all right in that majority for. And is it special treatment that they gave you to actually say, "Oh, you're different," and therefore I
No,
have to say
no,
you're all right?
it was to stop the bullies.
Mm. So
That's what I'm
so
pointing out is the people who are like, this guy is different. I want to be mean to him on purpose. Then my guys would be like, that's not an alone fight. That's all of us fight. They go, oh, he's not alone. I'm with you there. I am with you
because
there.
they
Oh,
wanted Rick to be
but
part
that's,
of the group.
but
You
the
wanted
bullies,
the
hold on, the
Mhm,
bullies are not the majority. The bullies, it wasn't everybody in there was being mean. It's that one dickhead right there who wanted to start a problem. It's that one guy or that one gal who will do sexual harassment or or say a chauvinistic comment or be mean to somebody. That's definitely not the majority. That's that one jerk right there. And so this
Mm-hmm.
is where it goes like, are we talking majority here? Because a majority of the guys looked out for you, and a majority of the
Mm-hmm.
people that know I look out for them look out for me. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to find, is it a bully issue then? Because I think we can all agree we all don't want the bullies to be running the show. I'll agree with you
Exactly.
there. Anybody who wants to bully you, I'm going to be like, through your husband, through me, through the guys, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. So the bully is one section of it,
Sure.
when you have to deal with a minority. But there's what I will offer to you is that even when you are showing up in not the bully, but the learner in that group of majority, there's many things that you will have like for biases that you're just not aware of their biases, just happen to be biases,
I
and they're
am also
inside your
not
head.
aware. So that's why I really want, like, please give me one
Yeah,
because I still haven't heard one that, like, that's a bias. Oh, crap. Like, I still haven't heard one yet.
yeah. So, for example, maybe I love fly fishing, for example, and I rarely get invited to fly fishing because I don't qualify as the um, typical archetype of a fly fishing person, like
There
you.
may be a thing here I want to help you out with, okay? And I learned this from Dwayne Knoll. If you know Dry Creek Wrangler, I got to go to his house. I spent a week with him. We rode horses together. Cowboy, he's awesome. Like, I like him.
Mhm.
And him and I got into like, we're both alphas. We're both, and we got into it on a conversation. I know it's hard to believe that we would be any kind of high energy conversation. I know that's impossible to believe. But of course, him and I are both the leaders of our own packs. He had a thing where while we were there, he wanted us to keep the vulgarity down. He's like, please watch the language. And so the kids are coming in, like his kids, like, hey, can you guys watch the language? Watch the language. We're all city folk. I grew up in, we're in Detroit. We're not in, there's a city. It's just, I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I talk like that? Like, I don't get it. But this is Wyoming. We're out in the middle of the country. This is a horse country. There's no other buildings around. And they're like, language, language, language. And I said, listen, what's with telling me what words I'm allowed to use and what words I'm not allowed to use? I don't understand. Like, what's the thing? And he was at first going like, well, you're at my house. Like, this is just what I'm like. I didn't say I'm not at your house. I'm asking you, why do you have a rule like this? Because I don't understand the culture. I don't get it. And him and I were going back and forth. Everyone's freaking out. Like, we're about to fist fight or something. But I'm like, no, I don't get it. Please explain. And so he's like, man, 6 years ago, we would have been in fisticuffs. I'm like, you're damn right we would have been. Like, we were both nuts back then. So we're both like, okay, let's cool off. Let's chill out. Next day, it's still there. I'm like, why am I not allowed to use certain words? Why am I not allowed to use words? And he said, all right, I'm going to break it down for you. He's like, out in the West, there's not as many women as there are men. And our women out here, since they're rare, they're unique, they're beautiful, they're coveted. We take care of our women in the West. He's like, there's women here, they're good workers, they're hard workers, they're diligent, they're durable, and they're loving. And our women are something special, rare, and precious to us. So that's the West. We take care of our women. And I said, all right, I'm feeling you. Us men, we're out in the muck and the horses with this shit. We're out in the coal mines digging stuff. We're out doing dirty jobs and doing filthy things. And we're filthy talkers and we say bad things to each other. We say nasty stuff. Back then, too, they also didn't let women into the bars. Not because women weren't allowed, it's because guys are so damn gross. They didn't want to expose women to our muck, our nastiness. Because girls, we're like, you're precious, you're beautiful, you're to be cared for, to be kept safe. And I don't want to pull a beautiful woman into the mucky muck of us gross dudes. That's reserved for us guys because I love her and I covet her. I take care of her. I protect her too much to let her be exposed to the filthiness of us, you know, guys in the dirt. So we don't swear around our women because for us, I don't want them to be as gross as me. I love her too much to expose her to the nastiness of us just cavemen, right? And so this is one of those things where it's actually a consideration, he was saying, and not some sort of exile or discrimination. And I
Yeah,
said,
it's a
fair
consideration.
enough. Fair enough. I didn't know this. I grew up in a city where it wasn't a rare thing to see a girl. They're everywhere and they're in the muck just like we are. I don't know what you're talking about. And so I didn't know this. And so from then on, I was like, I'll keep my filter on as best I can because I can see why you say don't expose people who like, they don't need to be in the muck with us. If it's just him and I, though, we could just get in the muck and that was fine.
If they
But
want to
around,
go in the muck, if you're a woman and you want to go in the muck, go in the muck. Like it's your own passion. It's your
sure,
own.
but the guys
Yeah.
were being considerate because even my girl's a lady, and she's like, it's kind of off-putting when you see a girl being vulgar and gross and disgusting, and she's like, that's a weird feeling for her. She's like, I don't think it's a good feel. Like if a girl's like talking about like slutty things or nasty things or gross things, and so while you may be like, I'm kind of accustomed to that because you would probably be more like me, where you're like, I grew up in the muck, I don't care, right? That may not be a problem for me, but other people are like, it's inconsiderate from where I grew up. It's inconsiderate from my upbringing in the West. I don't want to expose you to nasty muckness because I like seeing you as like a lady I would protect and keep safe and take care of and have her back and make sure she's good. I don't want her to be mucky like me. And so it may not be a thing where you're not good enough to go fly fishing. It may be a thing where like you don't know how gross we are when we're out there. And you're like, I can handle the gross. And it's like, I don't know if I want to see you do it. That makes me feel icky. I'm just
Um,
putting that out as a perspective I didn't
yeah.
know before to make it so it may not be discriminating, it may be considerate.
Consider it, and that's I think many of the mindset is that you're considerate in this circumstance because you don't want to bring the other person in an environment that they believe they will not be comfortable in, and that's out of consideration. So I do hear that. What I'd like these people to hear that are actually making these choices is that over time, if you don't balance things out a bit and you don't make room for maybe bringing them fly fishing once in a while, so you get to experience each other in a way that is outside of the actual environment that we're in and more relaxed environment, more so you get to benefit from getting to know each other in a different environment. Fly fishing is a great example of that.
Then why doesn't the minority invite other people out too?
We do.
Okay, good. Then
We
that's
do.
how you find your people then. And
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
everybody will come and some people will.
Yeah, we do, but because we're the minority, often we will be left out of these, and let alone certain. Just as I said, there are circumstances that will just happen to not be possible. I'm not going to be in the change room with you, in the locker room. There,
Right.
I'm not going to be part of that locker room conversation, nor do I want to be. Like,
Agreed. Yeah.
so that's a locker room conversation. And because I'm a minority, I'm not going to be in that locker room conversation, so I'll have missed out on that. But
You don't
then
want to be a
if
part of that. That's gross.
no, but what I want to be part of though is having a good connection with you and having a seamless connection where I know I have your back, you have my back, I understand you. I want that. And when you're a minority, you end up not having as many opportunities to do that, or you
I,
might not
I think this is
if you're
one.
not intentional about it.
I think there's a thing here that's kind of goofing me up, and you're using minority because like I don't run into the race issues at all. Like we
No,
don't
no,
have
and
that.
and I'm
And
I'm
so
just
when you say
saying
minority, you
one
mean
is
like as the
different than the other.
female who's in or the male in the feet? Because like, man, this would be like me saying like the girls keep going out for Starbucks without me. How come the girls aren't inviting me out for Starbucks for gossip time? How come I don't get to be a part of gossip and when the girls are going out, that's not fair. I want to connect. I want to be in there. It's like, well, because we don't want the guy that we're gossiping about to be at the table. That's why. Like they're like,
No.
let's call it what it is. So in any case, it's one of those ones where like the guy's like, I don't know if I want to be a part of that. There's not going to be that's not where the boys go for that. No different. That's not where the girls go for that. And I think that
Yeah.
the authenticity of who we are, we can have like, hey, let's have a family or couples get together and let's go have like a barbecue together. That's one thing, but to go, that's the girls' Starbucks time, or that's the guy's fly fishing time. We could do a couple's fly fishing and my husband and I will come out with you and that'll be good. That's one thing. But to go like, I just want to go and connect with the boys, it's like we do at work. But I think there also has to be a separation of the sexes in a way to be like, this probably gets more into the big problem with men and women that work together is the more you actually do what you're saying, the more it invites a whole new set of problems. Because if let's just say listen, I'll go in with this one. They have struggled since men and women have worked together to make it so that's not a problem. And they have. Because if I'm spending 9 hours a day with you and 2 hours with my wife and an hour and a half of that's with the kids, and I get 30 minutes a day with my girl, and I get 9 hours a day with you, 30 minutes with her, we're trying to connect and have time. But with you, we're overcoming problems. We're working on projects together. We're having victories and high fiving. And I'm also getting to be connected with you. And I get used to you. And I know your laugh. And I get used to your perfume. And we're hanging out all the time. And you listen to my stuff because you're not connected to any control systems for a relationship. We just can connect. And man, you're my favorite person to tell. Then I start sharing like, oh my God, so here's the thing with my kid I'm working on. And now I'm sharing all the stuff with you because I'm with you 9 hours a day working on stuff together. And we're fly fishing now. And now we're going and hanging out together. And I only get 30 minutes a day with my girl. This
But if
becomes a problem.
But if both partners are supportive of each other and they both pursue their passion, I think you end up having stronger relationships and
Oh,
ones that
with
can.
the person at work. Like, this is what I'm saying is if your husband is going out and spending 9 hours a day with another woman, and he's going out and doing fly fishing with her and not with you, and he's going out where a team get together with this girl all the time, and he's always hanging out with this girl, and he's telling all his stuff to this girl, and he's always with this girl, and she loves listening to him, and they laugh all the time, and they got inside jokes that you're not in on. You're telling me that makes the relationship just stronger.
I do think that if both partners are supporting, trusting, and have the trust of each other, and you build a strong foundation at home, and that's what I mean by life architecture when I start talking about that, is to
Sure.
build your whole life architecture that you can actually be supported at work and you can be supported at home. And
I
your
will.
life architecture at home is so key. And yes, you will have people splitting up because they just
Oh yeah.
happen not to have nurtured that. But talking about accountability, if
They
they're
don't know
having
how.
problems, yeah, but if
Well,
they're having problems at home, I don't think you can kind of blame it on
it,
the
it
person at
it may
work.
not be having problems at home. I think it's just if you're around all day with somebody, you start to get used to it. Put 5 years of you sitting next to somebody all day, like you start getting used to things. You start getting comfortable with things. You start opening up and sharing things. And you go and remember, you guys are working on things together, so you're succeeding together. You're achieving together. You're growing together. If you're going to say like, oh, if there's problems at home, you're going to have that. It's like, you may not have problems at home until this.
Hmm.
Like this, the heart gets crazy. The heart gets weird. And so if you start going like, man, I'm not trying to, these aren't, doesn't mean like these are bad people. And this is what they've been struggling with. There's even been countries, I want to say it's in somewhere in not Thailand, it's in Indonesia, where they had issues with like the men and women working together, starts making relationships. And so they're like, we got
I
shit.
lived 4 years. I lived 4 years in Indonesia.
So did you see when they made the most androgynous outfits they could possibly, like, it's like almost like a box outfit to make it so that you can't tell how attractive he is or how attractive she is, get to work. They had uniforms that were like, it was like this blue box
This,
color. And it was as
this,
much as like stop checking each other out and get to work. That's as much as they could. And they still had problems. They
yeah.
still had sexual harassment. They still had relationships getting messed up, and they've
Hmm.
struggled. It's a real struggle. And so this
Yeah.
is where I'm just saying, as a guy to a woman,
Hmm.
if you were to say, hey, I want to come out and fly fish with you, and I'm like, my wife doesn't fly fish. Like, yeah, but I want to go with you, and you're like, your husband doesn't fly
Well,
fish.
you know,
Even if it
there's
was four other dudes, I'd be like, I don't know about this.
yeah.
I don't know.
There's environments that are suitable and there's environments that aren't. What
Yeah,
I'm inviting is to think through how can you actually make sure that that environment is not exclusive all the time, like, and there will be, my spouse goes on, he calls it debate night, he goes out with a whole bunch of guys and they
sounds
debate.
cool.
Okay,
I
so he
couldn't
goes
relate
out
to
on
that.
debate night, and I'm not inviting myself to debate night because I know it's his own like world of debate night. So
Cool.
sure,
That's cool.
and I have my own girlfriends, and all that. But we also have mixed environments where but I'm not going to project or blame anybody else outside. We lived 4 years in Indonesia. My spouse, was the only very like prominent person over there. If you're white and 6 foot tall, you're just sticking out like a very much like a different than the environment.
Sure.
There's a rule where going into the country for the company that I worked with, you could not be married and unaccompanied, just because of the circumstance is very difficult for people to be single there. And So anyway, but we lived there 4 years, and if my marriage hadn't survived the 4 years where we lived there, I could have blamed the circumstance, but I probably would have said, well, maybe our relationship wasn't nurtured to be solid enough that we could live through that, and maybe we weren't mature enough at the time that we encountered this challenge that we could actually withstand that, and what can I learn from this? And that's kind of the warrior thinking that I like, is having full accountability for your own life, being aware of your pitfalls and being aware of your weaknesses, and being aware of the superpowers that you have, the strength and the qualities that you have, and kind of go in the world and make the best of it and learn, like, so rebuild the blueprint. Don't let the past kind of dictate what is going to come at you in the future. Just rebuild, and that's the warrior thinking. And
I
so for
I agree.
me,
I agree with learning from the past lessons and not repeating them. But I also would say I'd be cautious of letting snakes in the house just because you don't want to close the door. Like, this is like a different thing too. And so I definitely am not saying like you should be judged or ridiculed or anything on your past. Did you learn your lessons? Have you become a better person? That's what we teach. The past is a teacher. I'm with you. But as far as like, I'm also not going to invite a woman that I hang out with all the time to hang out with me, without my wife. And this is something that I probably wouldn't be
no,
inviting that person. My wife and I are solid, and so I just also wouldn't be inviting that
no,
type of connection into my
and
circle. We can have a business dynamic. We can still be very cool. You can still share things with me and me be very compassionate or empathetic, but I'm not going to be the one who warmly embraces you on a tough day. I'm going to be like, you're going to have to talk to your husband on that one. That's not me.
absolutely, and that's exactly where you create an environment that is comfortable. I'm going to be comfortable with you, don't need to give me a hug, and vice
Right.
versa. Hopefully you're going to be comfortable with me, and you don't, I don't need to,
People people ruin that though. They really messed that up. And even like I have one of the guys here. there's people that work, men and women working together is getting very tricky. But he got there's a lady, he said she had her birthday, she had a dress on and she wore a dress to work. She looked very pretty. And he's like, beautiful dress, it looks good on you. And she's like, this thing, and she did the swishing thing. She's like, thank you. And then she like left. He's like, cool. And then like went to work. And then later on, HR is like, she said you sexually harassed her. He's like, what? He's like, I just said she looked pretty in her dress on her birthday. Like, and she swished and said thank you. And then now I'm a sexual harasser. Like, that is a very surface level compliment. That is not a, like, there was no insinuation here. And my daughter, she just came here too. She just said a girl got fired at work for sexually harassing a guy. And he was like, please stop. And she was aggressive. It's like, there are circumstances where I wish it was just considered cordial or normal, but people are abusing these systems on both ways here. And this is
And
where I'm
it's
like,
hopefully it's the minority doing that, as you said, and not the
but
majority,
but
because
that's loud. It's the minority who, this is the bully that you had at work. You may have had
yes.
one bully, but you think about that one more than the 300 people who didn't bully you. You
Yeah,
see, and
and I
that's
think
loud.
about the 300 people that saw the bully and didn't do anything and did not speak up or did not act because to
There's a lot of things here that we could get in. This is where I get into like the behavioral part of like, yeah, there's more to this. There's more. I so far from what I see what you're saying, I agree. I don't disagree with your book. I don't disagree with your message. I very much am seeing that we're aligned on perspective on like the goal. And we may be coming from two different places, but the target is still the same. And that part I can very much agree with. How do we get stronger together? I'm with
mm-hmm.
you. What's in the way? The first word of your book, us. We're in our own way right now. And so I do see a lot of value in people being able to say, check out José's book, read it, and then at the very end of it, do your own contribution to make the world a better place. And I think that your message is, it seems very sound, and I enjoy that very much.
Me
José,
too. I
did
enjoy
you
that
know that it has
conversation.
been 2 hours and 40 minutes? Did you know that?
No.
We've been burning through this thing. It's pretty fun when you're having fun, though, right? Pretty cool.
All right, I'm gonna miss my appointment if we don't
I
get
don't
out.
want you to. It has been such a pleasure, such an honor. I honor you. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for your especially the thing with your grandfather. High honors to the warrior blood that you've got. So thank you for that. I hope you guys check out the stuff. Do you have anything that you want to promote or share? Do you have any programs, or just put the book, or what would you like
No,
people to
it's
check
just the
out?
book, and
Okay.
really to help out mainly people in their whole life architecture, trying to deal with dual careers, couples that are trying to navigate their own personal relationship in the construct of a work environment and a personal environment. How do you do both and succeed? And this is kind of what I talk about. And yeah, read it with the thought that it's what I learned, and it doesn't mean that it applies to you, but maybe you find some good nuggets in there. So
Absolutely. Us and yet and yet. José Tremblay, thank you so much.